Hello everyone, my dear followers. Today I want to welcome you to the second season of What If Naruto Was Forced to Marry Ino? Remember, if you want more fanfics like this, all you have to do is fill out the comments section. Enjoy!
Chapter 13, Awkward Encounter. I didn't know the reason for the situation, much less what had triggered all these events to lead me here. I knew very well that I had to meet him at least once, but I didn't think I would dislike seeing him like this so much. And I say like this because the only person who should be by his side should have been me, Sakura Haruno. Naruto, Sakura. Sakura, what are you going to order? Sakura, what? What's wrong? Sai, it seems you've gone somewhere else, Sakura-chan. Ino and Naruto looked at the pair strangely. It was awkward, but it was even more awkward how he called his classmate Sakura-chan. Ino, I didn't know you two were so close. The pale boy looked at Ino and gave her a smile. Sai, jealous. The atmosphere cooled. No one knew how to react except for one person. Naruto, don't talk nonsense. Sai, I thought it was someone else saying that. Naruto, what did you say? Ino, enough, Naruto, let's stop fighting. It's obvious we won't solve anything. I think it's best if we leave. Accepting his invitation was a mistake. Flashback, Naruto and Ino were face to face with Sakura and Sai, who both showed surprise on their faces. No one knew what to say, much less how to act. There stood the two most important people from their past, Naruto for Sakura and Ino for Sai. They shared a feeling of discomfort. Luckily for them, the waitress interrupted the moment, saying, "You can come to our table." Sakura and Sai looked at the waitress and agreed to go, but apparently, one person wasn't willing to let the opportunity pass. Sakura, don't you want to join us? End of flashback. Naruto sighed at Ino's words, but Sakura continued speaking. Sakura, Sai sometimes acts like this. Let it go. He's just been too long without talking to anyone besides me. Sai looked at Sakura and after a few seconds nodded and apologized. Sai, why don't we start over? Naruto noticed that both of their faces had changed. Did they really want them to stay? Naruto, well, if you insist. Ino didn't say anything, she just watched the couple. She knew her friend had already forgiven her, especially since they would remain friends. But why this sudden change in attitude? Why had her attitude towards her changed so quickly now that she saw her after her honeymoon? Sakura could smile at her, but Ino knew Sakura perfectly well. The smile she had was fake, but above all, her intuition told her that something else was going on at this table. But she decided to wait and see what happened, so she simply played along. Sakura, I'm glad you're back. I honestly thought you'd arrive much sooner, so I spoke with Lady Tsunade and she said you'd be back in a week. Ino, yes, you're right. We were only going to be here for a week, but Naruto-kun got really excited and we decided to stay another week. Sakura, oh, Naruto-kun is so enthusiastic, you know how he's always so attentive when he likes a girl, and I should know that. Ino looked at Sakura challengingly, that comment was unnecessary. Ino, well, yes, he really is very attentive and energetic. If you only knew what he can do at night. Sakura's face contorted at what Ino said, as did Naruto's, who didn't understand what was happening. Are they fighting over me? Naruto thought, while Sai watched the scene with his usual impassivity. Naruto, Ino-chan, you don't need to say that. Sweating on the back of his neck, Ino, because, my love, it's obvious I have to tell her everything. She's my best friend. Sakura, that's right, Naruto-kun, you have to tell me everything, although I don't know if it's true. Winking at him, Ino, what do you mean? Annoyed, Sakura, I don't know, it's up to your conscience. Ino, look, Sakura, I don't know what's going on with your huge head, but ever since we sat down, you've done nothing but annoy us, so if you don't tell me clearly what you want, then we're leaving. Sakura, sure, you can leave. After all, you're all fakes. You claim to be friends, but in the end, you show a different face. Naruto, what are you saying, Sakura-chan? Sigh, Sakura-chan, calm down. We shouldn't make such a fuss. Sakura, no, it's time I put this pig in her place. INO, what did you call me? Forehead. Naruto, girls, calm down. INO and Sakura, you stay out of this. Naruto, what did I say? Sai was holding Sakura, who was so furious she was going to mop the floor with INO right then and there, while Naruto was holding INO, who wanted to rip Sakura's head off for bothering her. It was difficult for the boys to contain the girl's fury. Sakura, I thought we were friends. INO, same to you. INO, I thought everything was settled. Sakura, oh no. Nothing is settled. INO, what are you talking about? We talked at the hospital, I thought everything was clear. Sakura, like I said, a bunch of frauds, they didn't even invite poor Sai to their wedding. Naruto's eyes rolled back. He'd thought someone was missing from their wedding and it hadn't even crossed his mind that they were missing someone, Sai. Naruto, it's not our fault, we just forgot. Sai, so you forgot, thanks a lot for that. Naruto, who was still holding INO, continued the conversation. Naruto, Sai, wait, I honestly thought it wouldn't bother you. Sai, no, it didn't bother me, believe me, but it did hurt that they didn't even leave me an invitation. But I understand, now you're a couple, you want to forget the past, right? Naruto, Sai, wait, what past? Sai, don't you know? INO was going to marry me. And as if by magic, they both stopped struggling and kicking to break free from the boy's grip. What? Naruto was in shock. Naruto, no. No, it can't be. You were going to marry INO. Sakura, Sai, you didn't tell me. Naruto, who was holding INO, looked at her and she lowered her head. Naruto, that's true. INO-chan. Sai, come on. INO dare to deny it. INO, enough. Sai, it's true, Sai and I, well, we were going to get married. Naruto was astonished, as were all the other diners at the tables. They both realized they had caused quite a commotion, so they decided to leave. The four of them left the restaurant without looking at each other. Naruto couldn't believe it. What had happened? Why didn't anyone know? The couple had left the restaurant and were walking towards Naruto's house. They were walking down the street when, after a few minutes, the girl's voice snapped him out of his reverie. INO, are you upset? Sadly, Naruto, no, I'm not upset. Why would I be? INO, you haven't said a word the whole way here. Naruto, what? I didn't even notice. I was just surprised. I didn't think you two already had plans to get married. INO, actually, it was more like a goal to achieve. Naruto, what do you mean? INO, Sai and I had a nice relationship. At first, I liked his looks, but as I got to know him, I realized he was too cold for me. I never got to do much with him because we each had missions, so we didn't see each other. He wasn't very thoughtful, but I thought it could be fixed with time. I think in the end, the relationship just cooled off. But on his last mission, he promised me he was going to change, that he would take a break from missions to spend more time with me. And right as he was leaving, he told me that no matter what happened, he would marry me. Naruto, I understand, but why didn't he? INO, well, he simply didn't keep his promise. He dedicated himself to being an ANBU, and most of the time we hardly talked about anything. We didn't have many topics of conversation or anything like that. I usually had to be the one to start a topic we both liked. He was very quiet. It's nice to be listened to, but you also want someone to express something more, but it didn't happen. When my father died, Sai and I had already broken up. Naruto, wait, but that happened a long time ago and I didn't even know. INO, with the conflicts in Konoha and the subsequent war, we decided to keep it a secret. Naruto, I understand. INO, don't be like that, I don't feel anything for him anymore. Naruto, I know, but at least you were going to marry someone real. Ino looked at Naruto, who had become somewhat sad about the news, but looking at him, she smiled a little, which Naruto noticed immediately. Ino, you know, when all this happened, I had concentrated my efforts on working a lot, and I think I exaggerated to the point of not sleeping much and especially spending nights at the hospital. I studied very hard, and you know what? I don't regret it because I'm truly grateful. You know why? Naruto smiled. Ino, because I met you, the real you. From that day I saw you lying in bed, with all those roses and chocolates, I wondered what those girls saw in you that I couldn't see. And when Lady Tsunade proposed that I be your fake wife, I felt sad because it reminded me of what happened with Sai. But in the end, it turned out to be the complete opposite. I ended up marrying you, and even though it turned out this way, I don't regret it because I was able to be with you right now. Naruto, Ino-chan, you're the best. Ever since you came to my apartment, that day when I was so sad, I felt so loved by you, even without knowing it. You left so many things in my heart, and you still do. When I hug you, I can't stop thinking that I could do anything to make that smile even brighter, so at least this helped me realize that I can be happy. Ino, just kiss me already, silly. Naruto smiled at Ino's words. They both moved closer and shared the kiss of their lives without thinking about what would happen in the future. Something they would both always remember, a wonderful scene that would bring a few tears. Because of what would happen a few days later in the future. Naruto, INO. Crying, end of chapter 14, Collision. It was a new day in Konoha, where certain blondes were having an important conversation. Lady Tsunade was talking to Ino about her taking the position as the new director of the hospital, something Ino appreciated but had some doubts about accepting. She already had problems with Sakura, and this would only increase their conflict. They also discussed removing Ibuki from her position as head of the Yamanaka clan, a position she didn't deserve and that, above all, belonged entirely to Tsunade. Tsunade, very well, then you will be the new director of the hospital until we remove Ibuki from her position. Ino, I still have my doubts, Lady Tsunade, but I'll do my best. Tsunade, that's the spirit. The office door opens, letting Kakashi in. Tsunade, Kakashi. Ino, would you mind leaving us alone? Ino, yes, Lady Tsunade. Kakashi, I think it's best if you stay, Ino. Perhaps this will be of interest to you. Ino, what's going on? Tsunade, speak up, Kakashi. Kakashi, the arms smuggler, is Ibuki. Tsunade, I knew it, that damn traitor. Ino didn't understand what Kakashi meant, so she asked him about it. They both began to explain that there's a person who sells Konoha weapons to other villages. It's also known that this person has a lot of influence and hasn't been captured yet, but now that they have confirmation, it's just a matter of catching him red-handed. Everyone was deep in thought. Kakashi continued explaining that when he went to see his contact, he was told that in a village north of his position, certain strange things were happening, especially in a particular part of the forest. So Kakashi went to investigate and discovered that a large number of outsiders had arrived in the village and that several residents had been disappearing. After disguising himself as a villager, he was captured and taken to what appeared to be a cave, but inside was an entire production facility operating with the villagers. These people performed the necessary tasks to produce everything they were ordered to. I could easily say it was half the village, but I'd bet it was a bit more. Tsunade, good. Right now, I'll need you and a group of ANBU to go immediately. Do you think you can do it? Kakashi, yes, no problem. Tsunade, good then. Ino, Lady Tsunade, I want to go too. Tsunade, are you sure, Ino? I don't think it's a good idea. Ino, I'll go anyway. It's personal. I feel responsible for letting that wretch take the position that's rightfully mine. That's why I want to go. It's time I put a stop to it. Tsunade, okay, Ino, but be careful. Don't do anything risky. Ino, okay. At the hospital, Naruto was looking for Ino, who was nowhere to be found. He was anxious because Sakura was also there, and he was likely to run into her. And sure enough, that's what happened. The pink-haired girl met the most hyperactive ninja in Konoha. Sakura, Naruto. Naruto, Sakura. They stood face to face, looking at each other for a moment. Naruto, goodbye. Sakura, wait, Naruto, we need to talk. Naruto, talk. I think you said it all, Sakura. We don't need to talk. Sakura, yes, we do. You and I have things to say to each other now more than ever. Naruto, wait, what are you talking about? Sakura looked at Naruto sadly. She quickly approached him and hugged him tightly. Naruto, Sakura. What are you doing? Let go of me, Sakura. No, I won't until you listen to me, please, crying. Naruto, Sakura, we're in the hospital, people are watching us. Sakura, I don't care, if that's what it takes to make you listen to me. Naruto grabbed Sakura by the shoulders and said, okay, let's talk somewhere more private. Sakura, let's go to my office. Naruto was confused, he didn't know what Sakura wanted to talk to him about. Was everything already clear? Or had she forgotten to say something else? He went into her office first while Sakura closed the door, locked it, and approached him. Naruto, so, what do you want to talk about? An unexpected kiss from Sakura stole his breath in a second as she grabbed his jacket. Naruto grabbed Sakura by the shoulders to pull away. Naruto, what are you doing? Sakura, Naruto, I love you. Naruto, what? INO arrived with Kakashi and the other ANBU along the path where they were. Among those ANBU was someone Sai knew. They dispersed to inspect the area and then regrouped. Sai took advantage of this to speak with INO alone, and when he found her, she was surprised. Sai, INO, if you keep going like this, you'll exhaust yourself. Here, take this pill Sakura gave me for situations like this. INO, it's not necessary, Sai. I don't need anything from you. Sai, INO, I know we have our differences, but I don't want you to faint in the middle of a battle. Getting here took a huge amount of chakra, and at the speed we were going, even I'm a little tired. INO, a ninja's job is to adapt to their environment. Sai, INO, I didn't think what I said would affect you so much. INO, and how could you think it wouldn't affect me? If you wanted to embarrass me, you did. How could you? You know nobody knew that, and it was very painful to know you never kept your promise. You know how much it hurt me, or what I had to go through to forget you. Sai, I know. I know I wasn't the best boyfriend, but... Approaching her, Sai, I still love you. He takes her by the waist and kisses her gently. INO was in shock. She was on a high-risk mission, and instead of fighting rogue ninjas, she was with Sai, discussing a distant past. A slap made Sai back away. INO, don't ever do that again. I don't love you anymore. I love Naruto. He and I are a team, so if you do that again, I'll make you regret it for the rest of your life. As INO left with the other ANBU, Sai thought to himself, wasn't it a fake marriage? INO was determined to finish the mission as quickly as possible so she could get to Konoha and be with Naruto. She was saddened by what Sai had done, especially by her old feelings. Right now, she couldn't falter. Finding those responsible was the priority, so she focused on her work. Everyone regrouped, and the battle began. INO made the first move, throwing several shurikens that struck the ninjas guarding the cave. An explosion blasted through the door, and the entire group of ninjas rushed in, destroying everything in their path. Most of the villagers ran for their lives while the ANBU began to draw the attention of the rogue ninjas, ensuring the safety of those inside. Kakashi and INO freed as many villagers as they could, leading them out through a door they created with explosions. Once everyone was out, they entered the fray. Several clashes erupted, weapons drawn, and blood flowed from the enemies. INO used a transformation jutsu to deceive the enemy and blend in, then stabbed them in the back. She decided to use Naruto's technique, but it wasn't working properly. It was the third step, which she needed more practice on. She remembered the day on their honeymoon when he had taught her the technique, and in a swift maneuver, she tried to use it on a specific person. And in the midst of the battle, one person was fighting, Daisuke, who was fighting against the ANBU. He didn't see INO, and unexpectedly, when he turned around, INO's Rasengan, formed in the palm of her hand, made an initial impact. It wasn't very powerful, so it didn't kill him, but it did damage him greatly. The ANBU finished the job and knocked him down. Boom! The cave exploded. The bombs were set to take them all down, so Sai said, who were trying to self-destruct the plant. So everyone left the area, but when INO turned to look at Sai, he looked at her with concern. The explosions were massive, and the plant's destruction was inevitable. The last sound shook the ninjas' bodies, leaving them deaf. The voice of a little girl trapped in the rubble was heard. INO went to her rescue, but it was too late. The entire plant collapsed, and fire began to erupt from the cave. Sai emerged from the rubble along with the Konoha ninjas, badly injured and covered in blood. He searched through the debris for INO and saw her protecting the little girl with her arms. Incredibly, she wasn't burned, but she was bruised and her hand was covered in bruises. At the last moment, INO used the Rasengan, which dispersed the flames in a spinning motion, causing the intense fire to pass by, but the impact was devastating, leaving her unconscious. Sai, INO. Kakashi, INO. Meanwhile, Daisuke was upset about what had happened. Daisuke, that damned bastard. End of chapter 15, Events. Ibuki was furious. One of his weapons plants had been discovered, so he was angry. He decided to raise more money and hire more capable mercenaries, but he couldn't. His blunders were resulting in losses for his operation, so he met with the civilian council to ask for help. They rejected him, but when he didn't get what he wanted, he threatened to reveal the plans they had prepared to get rid of Naruto and gain political power by allying with him. The civilian council couldn't refuse his request. After the meeting, he asked to see the Hyuga clan's council of elders to discuss the plan to overthrow Hayashi. At the meeting, they discussed waging war against him, or eliminating him at his weakest moment. But certainly, while that was being discussed, the idea arose that approving Hinata having a child with Naruto would be advantageous, since if Hinata had a child out of wedlock, she would be considered unworthy and, as the primary successor, unable to assume the position. Furthermore, Naruto's infidelity would end his marriage, and they wouldn't owe him a penny. So, if he wanted everything back, they could offer him different terms. Having a child with Hinata would inevitably keep him in Konoha, and that child wouldn't pose a problem for the Hyuga clan. Ibuki inquired about Hanabi, but the council of elders said that if he wished, he could marry her, as he had to abide by the orders of the elders. They talked for many hours, but more than anything, if that plan came to fruition, it would tarnish the reputation of leader Hayashi Hyuga for not upholding good customs, and his leadership would be called into question. Taking advantage of this situation, they could attack without much trouble. However, they had to coordinate everything as planned, and no matter how much they talked, they would need time to do so. The meeting ended, and everyone went their separate ways. Elsewhere in Konoha, many people were seen entering the medical area, including Kakashi, Sai, and many others. The hospital was receiving more wounded than usual, with several ninjas being carried out on stretchers. One of them was INO Yamanaka, who was being taken to the emergency room to have her injuries treated and to assess her condition. Meanwhile, in Sakura's office, other matters were unfolding, particularly the conversation taking place there. Sakura, Naruto, I love you. Naruto, what? Sakura, yes, Naruto, finally I said it. Sakura hugged Naruto tighter and tighter, making the boy nervous. Naruto, wait, I thought you loved Sasuke. Sakura, of course I did, but I discovered that he didn't interest me as much as you did. You're one of the people who was always there for me, someone who swore they'd never abandon me. Tell me, were those just empty promises? Naruto wanted to break free from Sakura's hug, it was incredible that he still couldn't. Naruto, stop. Let go of me. I don't need this right now. You chose Sasuke. Leave me alone. Sakura, I can't do it. Don't you see what I'm saying? I love you, Naruto-kun. I let go once. I can't do it again. Naruto, Sakura, this is ridiculous. You can't keep me like this forever. Sakura, I won't let go of you until you tell me you love me. Come on, say it. We're alone in this office, no one will hear you say it, because I know you still feel something for me. I can't believe you've forgotten me. Naruto stopped struggling with the girl, calmed down a bit, and began to think about what he would say. They stayed like that for a moment until the pink-haired girl spoke again. Sakura, I know about the fake marriage. Naruto was surprised by what Sakura said. Naruto, no one knew that. How did you find out? Sakura, don't lie to me, Tsunade knew. I can hear her behind the door. Naruto, Sakura, why didn't you tell me? I could have helped you. Naruto, oh yeah. How would you have done it? Sakura, I would have married you. This was too much for Naruto's heart. He was saddened by what was happening, not because he actually cared that she had accepted, but because this conversation was about a past that never happened, a past he was forgetting and that needed to be clarified. It was uncomfortable to see Sakura like this. She was his friend, after all. Despite her personality, they had many memories together, as a team, as friends, and as romantic interests, and now all of this was being destroyed. One of them was going to get hurt, but it wouldn't be Naruto. Naruto, I don't think it's a good idea to think about that, Sakura-chan. Sakura was delighted by the blonde boy's words. Again, that nickname she loved so much when he called her. It had been a long time since they had spoken like that, and now he was succeeding that it might make Naruto notice her again. Sakura, that's right, Naruto-kun, tearing with happiness. Sakura, let's not dwell on the past, let's live a future together. Leave INO, she doesn't deserve you, she won't make you feel what I can offer you, let's run away. Sakura continued hugging Naruto, not letting go, her smile lighting up her face, while Naruto remained serious and calm, staring into space. Naruto, Sakura. Sakura, yes, Naruto. Naruto, Sakura, yes. Naruto, no. Naruto, I don't love you. Sakura, huh? Sakura raised her head to look at Naruto's face, stopped hugging him, and looked at him with a confused expression. She thought she was getting somewhere with him, but apparently, that wasn't the case. Sakura, what? What? What do you mean you don't love me? Naruto looked at Sakura sadly. Naruto, I don't love you anymore, if I did, well, it disappeared. Sakura, it's not true, but you used to. Naruto, maybe before, but not anymore. I just stopped. Sakura, why? Naruto saw that Sakura was breaking down more and more, the girl was truly devastated, but he had to be honest. Naruto, I love INO. Sakura, what? It was supposed to be a fake marriage. Wasn't it? Naruto, not anymore. She and I fell in love on our honeymoon, and many things happened. That's why I gave my heart to her, and that's why I can't love anyone else. Sakura was devastated. The mere thought of losing Naruto was catastrophic. She thought that if she told him she loved him, he would come back to her, they would start over, and everything would go back to normal, but it didn't happen. Sakura began to cry uncontrollably. Right now, she wanted to be alone in her room and never leave again. Naruto, you were one of my strongest loves, Sakura-chan. You were truly etched in my heart, but now I see you differently. I hope we can talk like before. Sakura remained inconsolable, saddened, and could only lower her head. Naruto, I'm leaving. I hope we can treat each other like before. Opening the door, Naruto left the office, closing it behind him so Sakura could be alone. He was sure of what he was saying, things weren't the same as before, and his only concern was that she wouldn't take it too badly. He walked down the hallways and saw Sai sitting in a chair with his hands covering his face. Naruto walked over to Sai and asked him what had happened. Sai told him the news that INO had been injured on a mission and that Lady Tsunade had been called in to assess her condition. Naruto couldn't believe what he'd been told. This news shocked the boy, leaving a void in his heart. Naruto, no, no, NOO. Naruto, Inuo. Crying, Naruto ran to the emergency room, desperate to see her, but Kakashi grabbed Naruto from behind to stop him from going in. Kakashi, Naruto, wait. Naruto, let me go, Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi, wait. You won't achieve anything by interfering. Let Lady Tsunade do her job. Naruto, but INO. Kakashi, I'm sorry, but now she needs time for us to help her. Can you wait? Naruto reflected on his sensei's words. He knew he couldn't make things worse, especially since INO was seriously injured. So he calmed down little by little, with a terrible regret. Naruto, okay, sensei, just tell me one thing. Kakashi, tell me. Naruto, who did this to her? Kakashi, it was Ibuki. In the interrogation room. Ibiki Marino was talking to Daisuke about Ibuki. They both agreed that the guy was a lunatic and that he was plotting many more things. Daisuke was angry with his colleague Ibuki. The damned man wanted to kill everyone on that floor, which is why it exploded, surely as a last resort. He hadn't known about that measure. Ibuki had kept it from him and took advantage of the opportunity to get rid of everyone. Ibiki Marino, how could he do that? He was in Konoha. Daisuke, his mercenaries are very loyal. Ibiki Marino, interesting. Daisuke, I've said everything I said, now I expect something from you. Ibiki Marino, what do you want? Daisuke, protection. I don't want to share a cell and have my sentence reduced. Ibiki Marino, wow, you're shameless, but fine, it's more than certain that we can now prove your guilt. Now, about the documents of all your businesses, where are they? Daisuke, right. They're hidden in your house. I'll tell you later, but first you need to know one last thing. Ibiki Marino, what could be more important than that? Daisuke, well, that Ibiki could be your son. End of chapter 16, Confrontation. Daisuke was sitting with Ibiki. The answer he gave was somewhat strange, he didn't think something like that could happen. Ibiki Marino, you're lying. I don't have any children. What kind of joke is this? Daisuke, nothing but the truth, or so I heard. I couldn't say for sure. We were drunk when Ibiki told me. Ibiki Marino was still surprised. Was it really true? Daisuke, you'll have no choice but to accept it. Ibiki Marino, I don't know what kind of trick this is, but it won't work. Daisuke, they'll keep him, won't they? Ask him. Ibiki Marino got up from his seat and left the room, thinking, could it be true? As Daisuke was being taken to a cell in the building, he remembered his childhood and how he met Ibuki. It was in the orphanage courtyard where he met Ibuki. Daisuke, hello, what's your name? Ibuki, my name is Ibuki. Daisuke, nice to meet you. Do you want to play? I don't know many people, so. What do you say? Ibuki, of course. The children played peacefully as the sun bathed the entire courtyard. Returning to the present, Ibiki Marino could still remember his great love, Aiko Sato. I wonder if you are her son. Sir. Naruto and Kakashi went to capture Ibuki. Ibiki Marino, go support them, they might need help. The ANBU went to support Naruto and Kakashi, but they had already entered violently. Boom! An explosion was heard in the house. Naruto was holding Ibuki by his clothes, he was furious. He would kill the cursed man right then and there, but Kakashi's voice stopped him. Despite everything, he had to be prudent. It was obvious that Ibuki wasn't acting alone, based on the information Kakashi had given him. This was a group effort, and he had to find those responsible. Naruto, fine. But I assure you, you won't get away from me. Ibuki smiled at his threat. Ibuki, you think so? Naruto, what did you say? Kakashi, enough, Naruto, leave him alone. We have to take him for questioning. Kakashi separated Ibuki from Naruto and took him away, who offered no resistance. The ANBU arrived and, along with Kakashi, took him to the interrogation room. Naruto kept a close eye on him. He knew they had him captured, but anything could happen. Upon arriving at the interrogation room, they paid close attention to their surroundings, everyone watching in case something happened. Ibuki entered the room, and when Ibiki Marino entered, he looked at him with annoyance. Ibuki, you're finally here. I thought someone else would be attending to me, not you. At least I wouldn't have been kept waiting so long. Ibiki Marino, very funny, but you're not in a position to say anything. All I want is your head. You put several people at risk, good ninjas who are now in the hospital because of you. Ibuki, my fault, no. Yours. You know how it is, like father, like son. Ibiki Marino, what are you saying? Ibuki, I'm sure you don't notice. I'm your son. Ibiki Marino looked at the suspect. He was saying he was his son, but it couldn't be, he didn't have one. Ibuki, do you remember Aiko Sato? Ibiki Marino, how do you know her name? Ibuki, she's my mother. Ibiki Marino, that's a lie, don't look at my face. Ibuki, you sweated, didn't you? Ha ha ha, it's a lie. I'm not your son. Ibiki Marino, you're a bastard. I should smash your mind. Ibuki, you can't. I'm cooperating, what excuse would you have, ha ha ha. Ibiki Marino, anyway, how do you know her name? Ibuki, my mother knew the girl, that's why I'm named after her, because she was my godmother. I suppose my name had something to do with her past. What I never knew is what happened between you and her in the end. I think she loved you. Ibiki Marino, shut your mouth. Don't say that name again. You don't deserve to mention it. Ibuki, she was a good woman, but you chose the other one. What a bad decision. When I found out you were here, I couldn't believe it. I never thought I'd come to your village. But what happened? Couldn't you marry the one you chose, or did she dump you? Ibiki Marino glared at the boy. Ibuki, she dumped you. Haha. You're an idiot. Ibiki Marino, enough. You're dead, Ibuki. I don't think so. A cloak of chakra enveloped his body and with great force he destroyed the place. Ibiki Marino, what the hell? Ibuki looked like the Kyuubi, only with 3 tails. He raised his chakra and, with a swift hand seal, shouted, Fire Jutsu, Great Fireball. Boom! Naruto and Kakashi, who were waiting outside, noticed Ibuki's high chakra, and as they were about to enter, the fire engulfed them all. Ibuki emerged and searched the entire place. He knew they also had prisons, so, searching quickly, he spotted Daisuke's cell. Daisuke, finally, you've arrived. Ibuki, did you miss me? Daisuke, you bastard, blowing up the plant, you never told me that was possible. Ibuki, I don't have to tell you everything, remember, it was only to eliminate INO and then permanently seize power for myself. Daisuke, let me out. Ibuki was about to break out of the cell when Naruto, wearing the Nine-Tails cloak, appeared with incredible speed, knocking Ibuki down. He crashed through several walls. Daisuke, Ibuki. You wretched, loudmouth. Both Naruto and Ibuki were on the ground. They activated their chakra, and as soon as they left the ground, they began a taijutsu battle. Ibuki had claws, which he used to wound Naruto. Naruto dodged the attack and, taking advantage of a blind spot, managed to land a punch to Ibuki's chest, another to his chin, and a kick that knocked him off balance. He grabbed Ibuki's face and slammed him to the ground with great fury. Naruto, this is for INO. Ibuki, go to hell. Ibuki concentrated a large amount of energy in his mouth and forcefully launched it directly at the boy, hitting him squarely. Smoke enveloped them both, and they disappeared. Elsewhere, Naruto transported Ibuki with the body flicker technique to one of the training fields. They were alone in the middle of the meadow. Naruto was trying not to kill him so he could get some answers, so he waited, but first he would make him suffer a little. Naruto, how come you have the Ninetales cloak? Answer me. But he didn't say anything. He tried to attack Naruto, but he couldn't. The boy counterattacked with several blows. Ibuki was bleeding from Naruto's last blow, it was much stronger than his own. Even Naruto was in better shape than him, so he deduced that everything they said about the boy was true. After all, he was on another level. Ibuki, it was thanks to your blood. I experimented with it and made it into a pill, the Kyubi pill. Do you like it? We even started stealing a little of your chakra. Remember your mission that day you went to the hospital? Naruto remembered the mission he had a long time ago. It was too much for him. The ninjas he faced were S-rank mercenaries, so it was very difficult. There were 5 of them, and they were very skilled. Adding all that up to protecting his friends, it wore him down considerably. 3 days of fighting without rest was all it took for him to go to the hospital and be treated by INO. That was the day they got to know each other better, when they proposed she be their fake wife, and when they started spending more time together. Ibuki, it's easy to get your blood, but your chakra was the most complicated part, you had to fight with all your might, and my mercenaries made some sacrifices to obtain it through scrolls. That's why you spent so much, but you didn't realize it, ha 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 ha, and that's how you are, censor Naruto, enough already. The speed of both intensified, while Ibuki threw 1 punch, Naruto threw 3. The battle became increasingly unstable for Ibuki, his ribs paid a heavy price, his breathing was slowing, and his consciousness was slowly leaving him. He was exhausted from enduring the blows like that, but it was all a matter of time, and Naruto didn't have any. Right now, he needed to know more, and he had to get him to the interrogation room no matter what. Ibuki was on his knees on the ground, while Naruto watched him. Naruto, that's enough, Ibuki. You can't do anything more. Ibuki, I still have one last card to play. Naruto, you're still so despicable. Why do all this? You're not going to win, Ibuki. She looked at Naruto and quickly began forming several hand seals. Ibuki, say hi to Jiraiya for me. Wind release, cutting blades. Naruto jumped out of the ground to avoid the blades. While in the air, he saw Ibuki in front of him, looking at him with a hand seal. Ibuki, Shintenshin no Jutsu. It only took a couple of seconds for him to realize. As he fell to the ground, he saw his hands and his clothes. Ibuki, I did it. I'm in your body. As he watched the body falling straight to the ground, he laughed a lot. End of chapter 17, The Death of a Shinobi. INO was still badly injured. She wanted to get up to tell the Hokage, but since they wouldn't let her leave, she decided to calm down a bit to think. The nurses who were attending to her were still in the room, so it was more difficult to do anything. Suddenly, someone she knew very well appeared. It was Sakura, who, with a nod, signaled the nurses to leave the room. The blonde was puzzled by this movement, she could still feel the echoes of their argument at the restaurant, so it was strange that Sakura had come to see her. Sakura sighed and, taking her time to look at INO, Sakura said, I know about the fake marriage. This impressed INO greatly, but the only thought that remained in her mind was, did you tell anyone else? Elsewhere, Naruto and Ibuki were in the training field. Naruto's body felt strange. He looked at his hand, touched his face, and was surprised by what he felt. He had Ibuki's body. Terrified by the idea, he pinched his cheek to see if he was dreaming, but the laughter of the person beside him made everything clear. Ibuki, well, you finally woke up. I thought this was going to be more fun, but it's actually more than I expected. Naruto, you're a bastard. Ibuki, don't blame me for taking advantage. I knew I couldn't win, so I had to come up with a plan to beat you. Naruto, and you decided to do that? You won't get away with this. I'll beat you to a pulp right now. Ibuki, you idiot. Can't you see? You can't do anything now. To stop me, I'll have to give you a real beating so you understand better. Ibuki attacked head-on with almost imperceptible speed, which made Naruto's eyes widen in shock. One blow to the stomach and all the breath he had in his body disappeared. His eyes were stunned by the force of the blow. Naruto knew his body was strong, but testing it was a very different story. Ibuki pulled his fists out of his stomach, watching Naruto, in his old body, kneel. He was trying to breathe but couldn't, all he could do was clutch his arms around his stomach. Ibuki said, "See? It's not fun when you get hit." Ibuki grabbed Naruto by the neck with his left hand, and with his right fist, he punched Naruto's face repeatedly until his pupils bulged, his nose bled, and his face was practically deformed. He was sure that if Naruto hadn't done all that to him, it was because he had something he wanted. But now that he was in his body, he could use all the strength of Naruto's body to destroy him once and for all. However, each time he hit him, he did so with such satisfaction that he felt victorious. He dropped the boy onto the cold grass and began kicking him repeatedly. He barely managed to stop him, all he could do was endure the blows as if he were powerless. Ibuki lamented the boy's actions. At least she had wanted it to be a real fight, but it simply wasn't. Right now, he was going to finish what he started. She crouched down and leaned close to his ear, while Naruto lay motionless on the ground. Ibuki said, "You always had all this power and never did anything to use it properly, always overconfident. But don't worry, I'll know how to use it better. I'll become Hokage and make your dream come true, but perhaps a little differently, because I'm the most capable of ruling this miserable village. You think you're doing the right thing? They'll never thank you. They don't understand what it takes to rule with a firm hand. That's why I got away with it, why other countries buy weapons from me, why everyone wants to see Konoha destroyed, because here everyone gets away with it, and the only person who can stop it is me. She's lying here, nearly dead, on the ground. You're not a leader, you're not a hero, you're not the strongest ninja, you're just an idiot who thought he could pursue his dream through sheer effort and change the shinobi world with a stupid grin. So I don't regret telling you that not all dreams come true, because this is the end of yours. Goodbye, Naruto." Ibuki slammed Naruto to the ground until his last breath ceased to exist. Ibuki got up and looked at Naruto one last time before walking towards the village. He was still walking when a laugh came from behind him. Surprised, he turned to see where the sound was coming from, and it was a shock that filled his face. "Ibuki, Naruto." The boy was laughing, knowing that Ibuki's shock was clear. As he slowly got up, he stood completely and, upon seeing him, simply gave him the foxy grin he always had as a child, like one of the jokes he always played on the villagers of Konoha. "Ibuki, how is this possible? You're supposed to be dead." "Why?" Naruto, surprised, "You shouldn't be, since, as you said, I have a lot of power. But don't worry, I'm not that brat, I'm someone else. Call me Kurama, Ibuki." "It can't be." Surprised, the trees, the grass, the blue sky, all began to disappear as a dark color invaded the entire area where they were fighting. Ibuki watched, completely shocked. "Kurama, you've got some nerve coming here. Let me tell you, that was your first mistake. These are my domains, and believe me when I say I don't like seeing anyone else here besides Naruto." Ibuki was terrified. For the first time, he saw his old body, where Naruto was supposed to be, begin to fade away. Instead, this new body grew much larger and turned a deep orange, revealing fangs and bloodshot eyes. "Now you're really dead," Kurama said. Screams echoed in Naruto's mind, along with the sound of gnawing, as if someone were crushing something with their teeth. The smell of blood was strong, and the sounds of the screaming person gradually faded. Meanwhile, in reality, more specifically in the training field, Ibuki's real body was still on the ground, and Naruto's body was watching, motionless and unblinking. Both were surprised when, each in their respective bodies, they tried to take in their surroundings. Ibuki was sure he was dead, but he touched himself to check his condition and realized that nothing had happened to him. His frustration at seeing Naruto standing there was so great that he gritted his teeth and cursed him. Naruto was still sweating. He couldn't believe Ibuki's jutsu had worked. For a moment, he thought he might lose his body, and what's more, that Ibuki would get away with it if it weren't for Kurama. This would have ended very badly. Naruto didn't waste any more time. With a leap, he grabbed Ibuki, and as he was about to deliver the final blow, Ibuki clung to Naruto. Using all the chakra he had from the Kyuubi pill, he decided to do something unexpected. Compressing the Kyuubi's chakra inside himself to explode along with him was practically a suicide technique, and he understood that Ibuki was so desperate that taking him along would at least be a partial victory. Naruto told him to stop, and, frightened, he looked at Ibuki one last time. His eyes had lost some of their luster. He simply didn't know what Kurama had done to him, but it certainly wasn't anything pretty. Ibuki concentrated as hard as he could, and Naruto simply used all his strength to try to break free. The concentration and the intense light made the ninjas realize where the blonde boy was. When they arrived, they saw Naruto trapped with Ibuki, clinging to his body. Among the ninjas witnessing all this were Shino, Kiba, Hinata, Kakashi, Guy, and Shikamaru. Kakashi, Naruto. Naruto looked at his friends, and the shock on their faces was terrifying. Could this be the end for him? He had survived many things, but an explosion like this? Could he survive? He tried to think of something, but... Boom! The explosion blinded everyone present, leaving them powerless to help the boy. A column of smoke and debris rose from where Ibuki and Naruto had been standing, and everyone screamed, Naruto. End of chapter 18, Thunderous Boom. Naruto was trying to think of a way to break free from Ibuki's grip, reflecting on everything that had led to this situation. Time was not on his side, and seeing his friends' faces filled with terror and astonishment only made him feel a lump in his throat. At that moment, he wanted to be somewhere else, not fighting with Ibuki, and that thought gave him an idea, something that reminded him of what he had done before. Boom! Naruto! Everyone screamed as they saw the rubble and smoke covering the entire area. The image of Naruto being engulfed by light flashed through everyone's minds as they wondered if the boy could survive that. It was practically impossible, not without at least several bruises or cuts and, above all, a lot of blood. When the smoke cleared, there wasn't even a trace left, practically nothing, just a space of burnt rocks but no sign of movement, or at least not of Naruto. Everyone was saddened by what had happened. They all concluded that the boy had been destroyed by the explosion. But a voice pulled them from their sadness. It was Naruto, who was walking calmly, far from the explosion, directly toward them. Kakashi, Naruto. Guy, Shino, Hinata, and Kiba watched the boy walking as if nothing had happened. They all wanted to know what he had done to avoid being caught in the explosion. Naruto took his time, looked them in the face. Naruto, I learned the Flying Thunder God technique. For Kakashi, it was like a bucket of cold water. His master's technique, learned by his son and used at this moment, it was unbelievable, especially since I had no idea Naruto had learned it. Naruto, it's a shame I couldn't get more answers, but I suppose old Tsunade will do something about it. Kakashi, how did you learn the technique? Naruto, it's a little difficult to explain, but I had already mastered it. I even used it to carry my things and move to my new mansion. Kakashi, you used your father's technique. Kiba, mansion. Father? Naruto had a father. Everyone looked at Kiba with a frown, to which Kiba just fell silent with sweat on his forehead. Shino, we'll wait for the ANBU to search the area. We can still think of a way to deal with those responsible for this. Kakashi, he's right. The sooner we resolve this, the better the results will be. Naruto realized something that had been worrying him all this time, but what had happened during the battle had prevented him from remembering it. Naruto, you can discuss it yourselves. First, I'm going to see Ino-chan. See you later. Naruto headed towards the hospital, watched by all his classmates, especially one with light eyes. Hinata, Naruto-kun. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Sakura was angry with Ino for what had happened. She had lied to her, and Sakura was hurt by all her actions. She didn't know what to do, and to top it all off, Naruto had rejected her. She went to Ino's room to confront her and tell her to leave the blonde boy alone. But the girl wouldn't accept it and told her that now the two of them were together, that they were a real couple. Sakura was furious at what the blonde girl said. She didn't know if what she said was entirely true or just another one of her lies. She was so angry that she simply warned her that if she didn't leave Naruto alone, she would tell everyone about their situation. Ino, you can't do that, Sakura. Sakura, of course I can, so stay away from him. Sakura had many feelings bottled up in her heart, so she simply didn't care about Naruto's feelings or her friends, she was simply acting on pure impulse. She knew that if she said something, she would corner the pair of blondes. However, Ino's reaction wasn't one of surprise. Ino, I don't think it will work, maybe before, but now, Naruto and I love each other, so your threat is useless. Sakura, you're right, it won't work, but I bet they'll at least sow doubt with the civilian council. It would be the perfect excuse to delay the whole process, wouldn't it? Ino, you damn forehead girl. How dare you say that? Sakura, all's fair in love and war. I won't lose Naruto again, not anymore. Ino, although if I did, and I doubt I will, I couldn't do it. We're still married, so our love is part of all this. Sakura, yes, that's true, but that doesn't mean it has to be real, right? You can pretend with him in public, but when you're alone you'll be apart. I'll be there for him, and you'll help me. Ino, no way I'd help someone like you. Ino moved violently towards Sakura, she wanted to punch her hard enough to shut her up, but seeing as she was recovering and especially considering the physical exhaustion, she couldn't do much. Sakura held her arms and led her back to her bed. Ino was exhausted and lying on the bed, and the blonde saw that her hands were still trembling. Ino, what's wrong with me? Sakura, you idiot, remember that the explosion was too strong. It'll take you a little longer to recover. Sakura walked towards the door and turned one last time to look at Ino. Sakura, think about it. Slamming the door, the hospital room felt a little more gloomy. Could Sakura really dare to say that? Would it work? Or was it just a desperate move on her part that wouldn't have any effect? The sound of an explosion and a brief silence echoed throughout the village. Naruto had arrived like a flash and was overjoyed to see Ino. He hugged her and told her how much he loved her. Letting all her thoughts fade away, she was still worried and now had to decide what to do, but she would leave that for later. What mattered now was that she was with her great love and, above all, that she would have the affection she so desperately needed. Tears began to well up in Ino's eyes as she hugged Naruto, her face pressed to his chest. Naruto sat on Ino's bed, stroked her head, and realized that she hadn't been well in that moment. Ino had been through a lot, not only because of Sakura's threat, which had given her serious doubts, but also because of her accident, as she had come very close to not reacting and ending up worse off. Ino, I thought I was going to die, that it would be the end for me. Naruto, that must have been very hard, Ino-chan. Ino, yes, it was. It was hard, but I want to tell you something. Ino, thank you for teaching me the Rasengan. It was a great help. Naruto, you're welcome, Ino-chan. I'm glad it was helpful, but believe me, I won't leave you alone again. If you need help, you can ask me anytime, because I'll be there to fight with you. Ino broke the hug to look at Naruto's face. Her eyes, still teary, gazed at him with love. Naruto brought the girl's head to his chest, and they stayed like that for a few moments. Naruto told Ino everything, how he defeated Ibuki, what had happened in the training field, his battle with him, and especially what Kurama had told him. He didn't mention Kurama's name, only recounting what the fox had said through a flashback. Naruto, I'm worried I'm not strong or smart enough to take on the role of Hokage. He was saddened that Ino might be right. She took Naruto's hand, the feeling was pleasant, as she felt a lot of love for the blonde boy. She was happy to be of help and, above all, that he was confiding in her. The girl told him not to worry about Ibuki's words. He was strong and smart enough to win every fight he had. After all, he was Naruto Uzumaki, the boy who never gives up. Naruto was thrilled by what she said, she'd hit the nail on the head. He was delighted by her words, and laughter filled the room. Naruto said, "Thanks, Ino-chan. You really cheered me up. I don't know what I'd do without you. Don't scare me like that again." Ino nodded with a smile. Naruto leaned in a little closer to kiss her on the head. All he wanted was to hold her in his arms and never let go. She'd already had enough scares, and that was more than enough for today. While the couple was busy, Sakura was planning how to get closer to Naruto. She'd messed things up several times and didn't want to do it again. As she pondered this in her office, the doorbell rang. Sakura called for him in. Sai entered and greeted her, asking for Ino, since he wasn't sure if she could have visitors. Sakura assured him that she could, but warned him to be careful if he ran into Naruto. Sai nodded, but before he left, Sakura asked if he was free in the afternoon. Sai agreed, as he didn't have much to do. Seeing this as an opportunity, she invited him for a drink. Sakura had very little free time and wanted to relax. Since she and Sai had grown close since Naruto and Ino went on their honeymoon, it didn't seem to surprise either of them, so they agreed to go to the bar that evening. Meanwhile, Hinata, along with Kiba and Shino, were on their way to the Hokage to report on their mission, protecting a highly sought-after merchant carrying a very valuable cargo. Kiba and Hinata weren't speaking anymore. The girl ignored him, not because she disliked him, but because she was ashamed of his broken promise and the lie he told her about getting married. Meanwhile, Kiba went to train while Hinata and Shino went their separate ways. Night was falling, and Kiba was already sweating from all the work he'd done. Watching Naruto fight Ibuki upon arriving in Konoha had excited him. It had been a long time since he'd seen a battle like that. He would have liked to fight just like Naruto. His missions weren't very exciting, so it would have been interesting to contribute to Ibuki's capture. He went home to change his clothes, but a strange smell caught his eye, a familiar smell. He decided to follow the trail and saw the person who had entered the bar. Noticing this, he quickly headed straight for his house, with Akamaru following behind. He left his faithful friend to rest, changed, and took a quick shower before heading to the bar. He was sure he could arrive on time, hoping that the person at the bar wouldn't leave, since that was the reason he'd done all this. Sakura was drinking with Sai. They'd gone to the bar near his house, and after telling him she wanted to be as far away as possible from Ino and Naruto's area, the local ninja wanted to relax and talk to Sai about his daily life and missions. Sai told her he was seeing a drug dealer and that he had to capture him, but after the mission to find Ibuki's associates came up, he was replaced by other ninjas. Sakura, did you talk to Ino? Sai, no, I couldn't. I found Ino hugging Naruto, so I figured they didn't want to be bothered. Sakura, are you going to give up? Sai, I've already done enough damage. Sai, I'll let her be happy with Naruto. Sakura, are you sure? Sakura, I think you should pay more attention, since you could have an opportunity at any moment. That surprised the boy, but Sakura didn't say anything else and started drinking another glass. The unknown girl Kiba had sensed entered the bar to get a drink, but she noticed Sakura and Sai sitting at one of the tables, so she decided to leave. She went somewhere else, thinking about the decisions she had to make. Hinata, who was using her transformation jutsu, walked past the stalls, trying to find other bars where she could get some alcohol and a good conversation with a ninja. So far, things had gone well, nothing had ever gone beyond that, but it felt good to run with such risk. She could feel a rush of adrenaline. She wasn't allowed to be out at this hour anyway, but with the pressure to have Naruto's child, staying home felt awful. So far, the excuse that she wasn't ready or lacked training had worked, though she didn't know for how much longer. All she needed was for Naruto to let his guard down so she could attack, and that would be the end of it. Upon entering the establishment, she ordered a drink while some men stared at her. One of them, an unknown ninja named Daichi, tried to talk to her, but she didn't like his extremely lustful gaze and the feeling it gave her. Since she ignored him, Daichi got angry at the girl's actions and grabbed her arm. To Hinata's dismay, she knew he was just a chunin. She could easily break free, give him a gentle punch, and that would be the end of it. But the problem was that she would be discovered. Daichi kept yelling things at her, like, "You think you're so great just because you have a pretty face or a sexy body?" This really annoyed Hinata. Suddenly, Daichi felt a hand on his shoulder. Turning around, he realized it was Kiba. Kiba, who had tracked the woman, entered the shop and, seeing what was happening, decided to intervene, looking at him with a serious expression. "Kiba, if you don't want to lose your shoulder, you'd better leave the girl alone." The boy obeyed and left. "Kiba, are you alright?" "Hinata, undercover, I'm fine." The girl blushed slightly, felt better, and a little joy welled up in her heart. Several things had happened, and it felt good that Kiba was there and protecting her as always. This action was repeated a lot on missions. She was also worried that he would realize who she was. The transformation jutsu worked for everyone else, allowing her to remain undetected, but would it work with her friends? Nevertheless, she decided to continue and offered him something to drink. They chatted about something more relaxing, like flowers from other countries. It was a somewhat unusual topic of conversation for both of them, but the scenery on each mission and the places they visited were truly breathtaking. They talked about how Akamaru stole a loaf of bread and they chased him and his dog until he paid them back. In the end, his mother's scolding and the return of the money meant that he wouldn't let Akamaru run free when they were children. Hinata was comfortable with the conversation, and she also noticed that Kiba seemed to have been a great help to her all this time. Without a doubt, being away from the boy had been a mistake. She still hadn't realized how important he was in her life. Kiba approached her, pulling out his chair to sit beside her. They were both sitting at a table, and he leaned close to her ear, surprising Hinata. "Kiba, do you want to go somewhere more private?" "Hinata, Kiba." The girl blushed furiously. She was really nervous. She hadn't known he was this kind of person, or rather, she hadn't realized this side of himself. "Hinata, well, I think it's very late, and my dad, yes, my dad is very jealous, and I." Kiba, ha ha ha. "Hinata, why are you laughing?" Intrigued, Kiba, "I was just kidding, relax, don't worry, I was just joking. I wanted to see your reaction." Hinata pouted, hitting Kiba's shoulder. "Kiba, it's late." Hinata, covertly, "Yes, that's true." "Kiba, can I walk you home if you want?" The girl shook her head and told him that her father was very jealous and wouldn't allow it if he saw her with another boy. Kiba nodded, and they left together until they reached a fork in the road. When they each decided to go their separate ways, Kiba smiled at her. "Kiba, will we see each other again?" Hinata, undercover, "Of course, tomorrow at the same time." Kiba, "Sure." Hinata walked away from the boy towards her house, smiling and in a much better mood than before. Talking to him made her feel better. And the best part was that the boy didn't realize it was her, since the transformation jutsu that turned her into another person was active throughout their conversation, so she thought he had no idea. Kiba stopped to watch her walk away, her image disappearing into the night. Kiba, "Hey Hinata, someday you'll tell me what's wrong." End of chapter 19. INO's prank. At the hospital, the sunlight revealed all the patients finishing breakfast, most of them waiting for their test results. This was the case for INO Yamanaka, who, accompanied by Naruto, was waiting for Sakura to see if she could be discharged. Luckily for INO, Lady Tsunade was busy investigating Ibuki's associates and the countries that had purchased his weapons. Since she didn't have much time, she ordered Sakura to assist with the case. She was still angry with Sakura. The pink-haired girl had betrayed her, and she wasn't going to allow it. First, she was going to give her some serious bruises if she kept insisting on separating them. She was determined. While INO was lost in thought, Naruto decided to start a conversation. "Naruto, INO-chan, I'm glad you're feeling better because I wanted to ask you something." "INO, what is it, Naruto-kun?" Naruto smiled slightly. "Naruto, when are you going to move in with me?" INO's eyes widened. She hadn't thought about it until that moment. Although she had spoken with her blonde friend about it, they hadn't finalized anything. While it was logical that they would live together, they hadn't made the time to do so. "INO, well, I was thinking about that too. I think it's great that we're moving in together." Smiling, at his response, INO was excited about having a life with Naruto. Until now, she felt she was only pretending because of the situation, but now they would do it for real. "INO, that sounds good, Naruto-kun, but I have exquisite tastes. Do you think you could cook me something delicious for dinner?" "Naruto, of course, my special ramen is ready to go." INO had a feeling that's what he was going to say. "INO, well, I'd prefer something else, but if it's your special, I'll gladly try it. After all, I'd like to know how you cook." "Naruto, I don't cook much, although you'd be surprised at what I can do." "INO, really? Well, I'll wait for that moment." "Naruto, Sakura is taking a long time. I wonder if she'll be here soon." INO's thoughts, I hope she doesn't come. I'd rather stay in this room than see her one more time. INO, hey, Naruto, how are Shikamaru and the others? It's strange that they haven't come to see me. Naruto, they went with Lady Tsunade to investigate Ibuki's associates. They asked me to look after you, even though they didn't have to ask me that. I'll always look after you. Giving a thumbs up, INO, thanks, honey, but how do you know all that? Naruto, that's easy. When you fell asleep last night, I spoke with Lady Tsunade, and she told me everything she did. She also spoke with the feudal lord by mail, and he told me that I'm going to be the Hokage's apprentice. He'll come in a month to make it official, so I'm happy about that. INO, Naruto-kun, congratulations. You'll become a wonderful Hokage. Naruto, no, I still have a long way to go, but I'm happy to be one step closer to my dream. INO looked at Naruto with a mischievous grin. INO, so that means I'm going to be the wife of the future Hokage, the most envied girl in all of Konoha? Naruto had a hand on the back of his neck, he was blushing at what she said. Naruto, yes, that's right, you're now the wife of the future Hokage. As he looked at INO, the boy took her in his arms and stole a small kiss. INO's reaction to that movement was to touch her lips in surprise. INO, if you wanted a kiss, you just had to ask. Naruto, I'm sorry. I don't know what's wrong with me, but being near you, blushing and nervous. The blonde covered her lips with her index finger. INO, I really want one too, but we can wait. I'm still a little exhausted. The doctor says it could take a little longer. Naruto got nervous because of what she said, that he thought he would be out of danger, at least without suffering any secondary damage. He was so used to recovering quickly that he sometimes forgot that others didn't have his healing factor. Naruto, I'm sorry, I can wait. I don't want you to feel bad for me. INO, don't worry, nothing will happen to me. I'm better, more lucid, but I still need to rest. Naruto approached INO and took her hands. He still felt nervous doing it, but he liked the feeling it gave him. Naruto, I love you, INO-chan. I'll do everything I can to make sure you're okay. INO blushed at the boy's actions. Feeling Naruto's warm hands felt better. She was embarrassed but looked into his eyes as if asking for something. Naruto didn't understand what she meant, so he also stared at her, searching for an answer. INO, kiss me, Naruto. Naruto, yes, yes, ma'am. They kissed, much to the boy's delight. He pulled the girl onto the hospital bed and lay down beside her. He knew he couldn't make a move, but he didn't care. All he wanted was to feel the lips of his blonde temptation. While the blonde enjoyed the passionate kiss, an idea came to him to tease Sakura. He figured that since they were lying in the hospital bed, he could try something, so he asked Naruto to cover himself with the sheet along with her so they could continue kissing. The boy agreed, and they did so. Sakura was talking to Tsunade about the civilian council. Apparently, they were trying to prevent Tsunade from seeing the secret documents about their finances. This situation seemed strange to her, so she asked Sakura to help her review the available documents to find a pattern that would suggest they were committing fraud or something illegal. Sakura discovered that some investments were irregular and somewhat strange in the purchase of materials. They looked at the contacts and especially the places they had been, until she remembered something she had to do, which was to go to the hospital and discharge INO. She hurried to grab her things and said goodbye to Tsunade. Sakura walked through the hospital wondering if INO would obey her. She had no choice, it was either that or expose them. At least she knew the civil council had no idea about this, and if they did, they would use the commotion to play the victim and delay the inheritance matter. And how did she know? It was simple, she deduced it from seeing so many documents. This made her think they wouldn't have enough money to pay for what wasn't in their best interest. And another thing, they still hated Naruto, an advantage they could use. She walked through the hospital corridors, getting closer to Ino's room, but before she did, she saw Sai walk by. Sai looked worried, apparently, he had gone to her office and, not finding her despite waiting, decided to leave. Just as he left and walked through the corridors, he ran into Sakura. He was going to speak, he really wanted to, but the pink-haired girl looked at him for a moment. Sakura, wait, I want to talk to you. Sakura, sorry, Sai, I'm running late. You went to my office, right? Sai, yes. Sakura, then we'll talk later, although I think I'll stop by there first. I forgot Ino's documents and my lab coat. See you there. Sai saw Sakura leave very quickly, so he was the only one who managed to say anything on his behalf. Sai, why did we kiss yesterday? Sakura was excited. Now, with her lab coat on and the doctor's order, she could leave. She could finally achieve her goal, to separate INO from Naruto. Having been at the hospital since yesterday, Naruto had been taking care of her. From what she could see, he didn't leave her side, and she knew she could get along better if she didn't do something. Yesterday she had drunk too much, but for some reason, she didn't feel a hangover or anything like that. She thought it was the pill she took. If that was the case, it was very effective, although her memories of that night were very blurry. Sakura stood still for a few seconds in front of Ino's room door, taking a breath to gather her strength. She needed to stay calm, she was going to confront the pair of blondes and wanted to appear as natural as possible. She gently opened the door. Sakura, okay, INO, you can go now. But what? Sakura's eyes went white as she watched the hospital bed move. The sheets covered what could be an indecent scene. Sakura, what's going on? INO and Naruto poked their heads out from under the covers, their bodies still covered. Sakura saw the pair of idiots grinning shamelessly, INO out of mischief and Naruto out of nervousness. Sakura, what's wrong with you two pigs? This is a hospital. INO, calm down, Sakura. We're not doing anything wrong, just normal things. Naruto was sweating and panting. He wanted to say something, but the girl's kisses stole his breath, which didn't help much. Sakura, you too. At least they know we have sick people here, huh? Tell me, what would happen if someone saw you like that? Aren't you ashamed? INO, ashamed? Why? We're doing what couples do, kissing. INO pulled the sheets off them, and they were both fully clothed. Sakura's jaw dropped. She fell for a simple joke like a fool. She knew INO wasn't the jokester type, so it could have been Naruto. The blonde smiled at Sakura's question about who had suggested the joke, and she rejoiced at it. Naruto, Sakura, calm down. It's not a big deal. Sakura, you shut up. Naruto raised his hands to prevent any reaction from the girl. He knew that in that state he shouldn't bother her. INO, don't yell at her like that. It's not his fault he's behaving like a man. Sakura gritted her teeth. The pink-haired girl's jealousy was intense enough to explode, but she knew she had to maintain her composure. Sakura, you can go out now. You've been discharged, you're fine, but you shouldn't do any strenuous exercise. You have to take care of yourself now. Sakura asked Naruto to leave so she could talk to INO, to which Naruto was about to protest, but a nod from the blonde made her reconsider. The pink-haired girl insisted she had thought about her proposal. INO rejected Sakura's proposal. She was going to fight for her relationship and wouldn't let a cat burglar like her interfere with her plans to build a life with Naruto. Sakura erupted in fury at that. She wouldn't accept such a thing. But finding no insecurity in the blonde's voice, she left, but not before saying a few words. Sakura, you asked for it. As she left, INO worried that she might actually go through with it. She doubted it, but what if it was possible? Outside the room, Sakura spoke to Naruto. Sakura, Naruto. I want to ask you something. Naruto, tell me, Sakura. Sakura, we can still be friends. Naruto was surprised by what his teammate said. Naruto, yeah, I think it's been a while since we talked like we used to, although I don't know. Sakura, relax, I just want us to be at peace. Naruto, are you sure? Sakura, yes, I think it's better this way. Besides, I'd like us to treat each other well since, after all, we were teammates. Naruto, okay, you're right. I think if you want, we can be friends. Sakura, then it's settled. See you soon. Naruto, see you later, Sakura. The boy still had his doubts, but Sakura's voice felt so sincere that at least they would treat each other better. Sakura went to her office thinking about what she could do to separate the blondes when, after thinking so much, she remembered a scene from yesterday. She and Sakura went to the boy's house with a bottle, giving each other a passionate kiss. Sakura, no, it can't be. End of chapter 20, Feelings. Sakura shook her head every time she remembered something. She did her work with a million questions in her mind, even at lunchtime she avoided the image of her. And Sai kissing her in that situation. Those memories were still a little blurry, but little by little the images came to her mind with a speed she couldn't quite grasp. She was sure that if she had gone through all the images that appeared in her mind, she was working, checking the lungs of one of her patients and referring him to another doctor, giving him a few tips. She headed to her office. She still had more work to do when she remembered everything at once. She knew what had happened that night. Flashback, Sakura had gotten up from her seat and told Sai they should go somewhere more comfortable. The bar was about to close, and she still wanted to keep celebrating. She was also a little hungry, so they decided to leave and go to Sai's house, which was closer. They settled together on his sofa and opened another bottle. They were talking about INO and Naruto. They joked about some experiences they had with them, silly or funny moments. The last thing she remembered was that they talked about how both Naruto and INO were bad kissers. As if mocking her gave them a little satisfaction in finding fault with her. The pink-haired girl insisted she was a better kisser, just like her companion, who insisted she was better than Naruto. They both took a glass of liquor and looked at each other, laughing. One thing led to another, and a strange scene unfolded as they tried to prove their superiority. They kissed, both laughing at the first kiss, thinking it was a good joke. But then Sakura grabbed his neck and kissed him again, more intensely, which he reciprocated. Sakura climbed on top of him on the sofa, her breathing and her need growing stronger. Perhaps it was loneliness or the pain of rejection that controlled her impulses, or perhaps it was the fact that she did find him attractive. They had spent a lot of time together, and sometimes, whenever she felt sad, she came to Sai to confide in him. He always listened to her, no matter when, which she found very sweet. For her part, she was sure that if her heart didn't belong to Naruto, he would be the one for her, but the pink-haired girl's doubts, coupled with her own insecurity, made her stop. What was she doing? Sakura stood up, head bowed, much to Sai's surprise. Sakura, I'm sorry. The girl walked towards the exit and closed the door, leaving Sai alone. She walked home and upon arriving, lay down on her bed and slept. End of flashback. Sakura didn't want to see Sai, so she left her office in case he wanted to confront her. She told herself that perhaps tomorrow she could, but now she wanted to focus on something. So she went straight to work. When she arrived to see her new patient, she was surprised to see who it was. His name was Kenjiro, one of the leaders of the civil council. Sakura couldn't believe it, she had been waiting for this opportunity, and now she had it. The afternoon had passed rather quickly for Shizune and Tsunade. They needed to look into the matter of the missing partners. 2 reports indicated that a large sum of money from the civil council had been deposited in the names of Ibuki and Bingo, they both said. They already had at least one of them, although they still needed the second group of partners to finalize the matter, but that was more difficult. They put that aside and concentrated on how Naruto would receive his surname and inheritance. Shizune was convinced that the best way was to uncover all the lies of the civil council and discover the second group of partners, rather than relying on INO and Naruto's sham marriage. That issue already made her nervous. Tsunade, remember that INO and Naruto are truly in love. Shizune had learned of this and was happy about it, but the matter of their sham marriage wasn't about their feelings, but about something else, and Tsunade knew it. There was a secret they both kept, one they hadn't told the couple, and they were unsure whether to reveal it to the blonde pair or not. They put that matter aside and continued working, focusing their attention on something else. The civil council had received Sakura. She sat before some leaders in a chair they had offered her and began to recount what she had heard about INO and Naruto's relationship, confirming that they were both pretending so they could inherit Naruto's fortune. At first, Kenjiro, one of the leaders, wasn't entirely convinced by Sakura's argument, but she insisted she had heard it from Naruto himself. Everyone knew she was friends with Naruto, so they thought it might be true. Sakura explained that they were very good actors, since INO was a very clever girl who made him fall in love with her, but she didn't reciprocate. And once this whole affair was over, they would divorce, and that would be the end of it. The civilian council was shocked, they hadn't considered anything like this. Then a question arose, how would they keep Naruto in Konoha? Their plan was to marry him off so he would stay, but they had looked foolish. Those two were probably laughing right now. Kenjiro, what about Tsunade? Sakura, Tsunade has nothing to do with this. Kenjiro, how do you know? Sakura thought quickly. Sakura, Naruto had to choose a wife, didn't he? No one believed her, but they wouldn't tell anyone. Kenjiro, how will we make sure Naruto stays in Konoha? Sakura spoke up. Sakura, I'll do it. I love Naruto, and if you'll allow me, I want to marry him. Everyone doubted her. Kenjiro, why should we believe you? Sakura, what can I do to make you believe me? Kenjiro, we have a girl who was on a mission to keep Naruto, which involved getting pregnant. Sakura, really? Who? Kenjiro, we won't tell you yet. They haven't said anything yet. Apparently, she hasn't accomplished anything. Tell me, would you do it? Sakura, I accept. Kenjiro, good. You have family here, right? If you betray us, they'll suffer. No one will hire them, and will prevent them from leaving Konoha. In addition to confiscating their property, we'll make them suffer financially. They're already genin, according to the ANBU report. Sakura, how quickly they found that information. Kenjiro, do as we ask, and we will reward you. Sakura left, and everyone on the civilian council discussed how to divorce the couple and prevent Naruto from becoming Hokage. The only solution was for Naruto to have a competitor. And a name came up, Sai. Hinata strolled with Kiba through the Konoha market stalls. Although they had relaxed enough at the bar, she wanted to breathe a little. Tonight was different, the lights on the stalls made the atmosphere too bright, so the idea of eating some sweets or fried fish on sticks was tempting. They also shared cotton candy to calm Hinata's nerves, and she blushed when Kiba offered her his. Both were happy. Hinata, trying not to look into the boy's eyes, offered him her pink cotton candy, bringing the sweet to his mouth, which he bit in the same way. They strolled until they sat down at a place that served dango. They talked about some missions they had done solo. Hinata knew that if she told him about her team missions, he would realize that she was his teammate and not a stranger she had met at the bar, as she had led him to believe. Throughout the date, she still had the appearance of a stranger due to the transformation jutsu. When they finished, they said goodbye, but Kiba's hand stopped her for a moment. "Hinata, what are you doing, Kiba?" "Kiba, we'll see each other again, Hinata." Hinata blushed. "Hinata, of course, tomorrow night at the same time and in the same place." Kiba, "Okay, but you didn't tell me your name." They'd also mentioned on their outing that she hadn't told him her name. She had to make one up, at least, and quickly. "Hinata, my name is Hana." "I'm Hana. See you later." Smiling, as she disappeared from Kiba's sight, the boy thought something with a sly smile. "Kiba, Hana." Like Hanabi, Hinata arrived home, went to her room, and lay down on her bed. Before arriving, she had stopped her transformation, so she was the same Hinata as always. When she was about to sleep, her bedroom door started to ring. The girl was startled. She thought someone had noticed she'd left without permission, but a very familiar voice reassured her. "Hanabi, it's me, open up." Hinata let her sister in, who asked her where she had gone. Hinata explained her date with Kiba, if she could even call it that, not really. She didn't tell her why she used the transformation jutsu, but she did tell her what she had done. Hanabi seemed happy about the news. Ever since Naruto rejected her confession, she had suffered a lot, so seeing her smile like that gave her hope that she was happy. Hinata didn't realize it, but when she talked about her date with Kiba, her eyes sparkled and her attitude changed drastically. So much so that when Hinata finished her story, she looked at her sister's face with intrigue. "Hinata, what's wrong?" "Hanabi, nothing, it's just that you've been really happy lately." "I'm glad, sis." "Hinata, I think so, he's a good friend." "Hanabi, are you sure?" "I think you might like him." "Hinata, no, he and I are just." She couldn't finish. Had something changed? Why was she smiling like a fool? She couldn't stop herself, pressing her hands to her cheeks in denial. "Hanabi, you don't have to be like this. I'd like to see that smile more, so whatever you're doing, keep going." "Hinata, Hanabi, Hanabi, don't say anything, don't think, just keep doing it. He seems like a nice guy, and maybe he'll try something, so please don't be surprised." "Hinata, those things are for grown-ups." "Hanabi, I didn't mean that, but it could be a kiss." Hinata blushed. "A kiss?" "Hanabi, stop making that face and let's go to sleep together. I'll keep you company while you turn off the lights." Hinata fell asleep, remembering her date. End of chapter 21. My thoughts were with Hinata, who had woken up in a good mood. It had been a few hours since she'd baked some cookies to give to Kiba for their date that evening. Although she'd made too many, she decided to share some with her sister, who happily accepted. She tidied everything up and headed to her team's training grounds. She didn't want to run into her father or anyone from the Council of Elders, as she was sure no one would be there when she entered the training grounds. Kiba's image appeared in the middle of the field. She felt nervous, so she hid from him in one of the bushes so he couldn't see her. While she was hiding, she realized they hadn't noticed her, so all she did was watch from the shadows. For some strange reason, she couldn't stop watching the boy and his furry friend Akamaru talking. She was intrigued by what those two were discussing. "Akamaru, whoops whoop Kiba, yeah, I know she's there. Relax, just let her be and let's keep going." They both continued doing their own thing while Hinata got comfortable to observe them better. 2 hours had passed, and they still noticed that the girl hadn't moved. Kiba felt scared. Was this something common with her? He could feel her fixed gaze piercing his body. He thought she needed something, or at least he couldn't imagine someone doing something like this for no reason. He wanted to talk to her, tell her he missed her, but he knew he couldn't, so he had to be careful because he didn't want to scare her. Hinata couldn't stop staring at him. She felt her attention fixed on the boy, her heart beating a little faster every now and then. She felt fear and a touch of longing for him to notice her. She still remembered when her sister told her she could try something she'd imagined several times. She was nervous. How could she even think about that? After all, Kiba was in love with her alter ego, Hana, not her, or at least that's what she assumed he'd say. What would happen when he discovered her secret? Would he talk to her again like he used to? Or would he distance himself like she had with him? So many questions, so few answers. She knew she'd have to talk to him about many things they had left unfinished, like the broken promise, their fake wedding, and now the anxiety of him discovering she was Hana, so many lies he surely wouldn't forgive. A voice pulled her from her thoughts. Kiba. Akameru. Come here. The dog got fed up with neither of them doing anything, so the canine sniffed the ground and headed towards the scent of the girl. Hinata, seeing this, got scared and, with all her speed, ran away, seen by both of them. The girl's embarrassment got the better of her and she disappeared. Akameru, woof woof. Kiba, I told you it wasn't a good idea. Elsewhere, Ino and Naruto were settled in the Uzumaki mansion, the name Naruto really liked. They were both talking about Shikamaru and Temari's relationship, which made Ino laugh, as she couldn't believe her lazy friend was in a relationship. But Naruto confirmed the news, since he'd seen them together on some missions. Naruto picked up the dirty dishes, got up, and went to the sink. Ino immediately jumped onto the sofa, took a book that was resting on a small table nearby, and started reading. Life as a couple was very different from her single life. She realized that she would need to spend more time with the boy to improve their relationship, since they both lacked that. Although she had interacted and talked with him, it all depended more on the fake marriage mission. But now that they were together, and this time for real, shouldn't they have a little more intimacy and get to know each other more deeply? The outcome of all this was fine. It was so fast that she didn't know to what extent it was real or fake, whether it was worth it. What about Naruto? Would the two of them get along well if they lived together? Could she doubt him after everything he'd done? If there was one thing Sakura had over her, it was that she knew the boy well, and that worried her. Could she be just like her and know him even better? Ino called Naruto over and, sitting next to him, told him she wanted him to tell her about his life. Naruto was surprised by the sudden request. Naruto, my story is a bit long. Ino, I want to hear it. Naruto, fine, but on one condition. Ino, what is it? Naruto, tell me your story too. Ino looked at Naruto with those eyes of absolute sincerity and couldn't resist. Ino, okay. Shizun, along with Tsunade, was in a meeting discussing Naruto's inheritance and making his surname official as soon as possible, but it was rejected by the civil council. The other clans followed suit, apparently already aware of Ino and Naruto's scheme. This news greatly surprised Tsunade, who couldn't believe they had found out. Everyone disagreed with Tsunade about how she had handled things, because they seriously doubted that Naruto and Ino were solely responsible. They refused to believe her, and besides, she had broken the contract they had made, she had no obligation to give Naruto anything. Furthermore, they wanted to demand the annulment of the blonde's marriage. Tsunade broke out in a cold sweat. Talking about Ino and Naruto's marriage contract was a delicate matter. Kenjiro, one of the clan leaders, spoke up. Kenjiro said, Tsunade, no one believes you anymore. You'd better accept. Tsunade replied, I won't accept anything. How can you claim that? Hayashi said, apparently there's a witness. Tsunade asked, who? Kenjiro responded, as you can see, we can't tell you. But if you want to hold a hearing, there wouldn't be any problem. The feudal lord could be the judge. Tsunade retorted, you know that would be a huge defamation for Naruto. It would be difficult for him to run for Hokage, Hayashi, that's his problem. The Hokage was annoyed with everyone, right now she felt like smashing Hayashi's head in for being so meddlesome. Tsunade, tell me, if Naruto gets divorced, how would he stay here? Kenjiro, believe me, Naruto won't leave, not yet. We can offer something else. Tsunade, what do you mean, something else? Hayashi, for now, the clans will think of another way to ensure Naruto stays, but that will be discussed at another meeting. Tsunade raised her voice and shouted to the other clans to speak, but they remained silent. The meeting ended, and as they were leaving, Tsunade sent Shizune to the judge to try to prevent them from taking the marriage contract. Under no circumstances should the civil council have that document. Tsunade's concern grew when she began to realize that they might have already discovered her secret. INO couldn't stop crying. Naruto's life was difficult, so much so that the boy felt uncomfortable with the blonde's reaction. Naruto, don't worry, I've overcome most of it. INO hugged Naruto and thanked him for telling her his story. Even though it was sad, she knew how hard he worked to be the ninja he was now. She knew he could achieve his most cherished dream, to become Hokage. She continued to shed tears, so the blonde wanted to distract her to make her feel better. Naruto told her it was now her turn, and although Ino's story wasn't very interesting, he told her about many things she liked to do and, above all, the reason why she rejected the position of clan leader. Naruto, will you take the position? Now that Ibuki is gone, there's nothing stopping you. With everything that had happened, she wasn't entirely sure she could take it, but she thought it through carefully. INO, when all this is over, I'll take it and take charge of the clan, just like my father wanted. For the moment, Tsunade is handling that, and she was grateful for that, since what she wanted right now was peace and quiet. So, if things could stay this way a little longer, she would. Naruto smiled at his blonde. He knew she was special, no one could understand INO better than him. Right now, he felt like he knew some things about her, like how when he looked into her eyes, he knew when she was worried or bothered by something. And at that moment, he could tell. Naruto didn't say anything, he didn't want to ask what was wrong, but he would be nearby in case something happened. INO, what's wrong? Wiping away her tears, Naruto, nothing. I forgot to tell you something. INO, Naruto, I'm not going to take any more missions. I'm staying in Konoha longer. INO, really? Naruto, yes. I want to be here, for as long as I need. INO, I'm glad to hear that. Naruto, yeah, so you'll have plenty of Naruto. INO, ha ha ha. Of course. Naruto, a movie? INO, sure. Naruto wiped INO's cheek with his sleeve as she blushed. Naruto, don't cry so much anymore, I don't like seeing you like this. INO, I'm not crying anymore. Naruto gave her a small kiss on the lips. Naruto, from now on we'll have each other, so don't suffer for me anymore. INO wanted to get rid of the bitter feelings she had in her heart to make Naruto happy, who with a few words had influenced her heart too much. INO, okay, let's watch that movie, smiling. They both stayed on their sofa watching a romantic movie in the tranquility of their mansion all night. Kiba and Hinata had lunch at a dango restaurant. They liked the place, it was very cozy. Hinata still used her transformation jutsu so she could enjoy a good meal. Kiba asked, where do you live, Hana? It would be great if I came to visit you. Hinata replied, I don't think I can. Like I told you, my father is very strict and doesn't allow boys in the house. Besides, I like going out, company is very nice. She smiled. Kiba blushed at that. He really had a date with the girl of his dreams, even if she was pretending to be someone else. Kiba said, okay. The boy had to restrain himself from telling Hinata that he knew the truth, that she was her and not Hana, as she had made him believe. He was ready to end the lie, he even thought today would be the day they would clear everything up. But how could he do it? When he saw that smile of hers widen, when he saw it, he simply regretted it. He hadn't seen her so happy in a long time, and he wasn't going to be the one to ruin her moment. So he simply put all those thoughts aside for later, since the only thing he could think about now that he saw her more closely was her smile, as beautiful as ever. Hinata had to continue with the lie. After all, she liked that no one recognized her, and besides, she didn't want to give explanations about her life. After lunch, they left the restaurant. Hinata, or Hana as she called herself, gave him the cookies she had prepared. Kiba was happy with the gesture. No one ever gave him a present, and for her to do it was kind of her, and he appreciated it. But when he was about to ask her his questions about her, she surprised him with a kiss on the cheek. Both of them blushed. Hinata was the one who ran away, much to the surprise of the boy who stood frozen. When she got home, she stayed in her room with a pillow covering her face, blushing from what she had done and wanting to know how Kiba felt at that moment. There was a knock at the door, and Hinata thought it was her sister Hanabi, but it wasn't. The surprise when she saw the person enter her room was overwhelming. "Hayashi, we need to talk about your mission with Naruto." Hinata wouldn't sleep well that night because of the conversation that was coming. Sakura was walking through the hospital. She had been working too long and needed to go to sleep. As she left the hospital, a figure was waiting for her. "Sai, Sakura." "Sakura, Sai, but..." "Sai, we need to talk." Sakura, "Yes, of course." "Sai, tell me, are we not going out again?" Sakura, "Go out, ha, yeah, well, Sai, I noticed that ever since we kissed, you've been avoiding me." Sakura, "No, that's not true, that's what I was busy with." Sai, "Then why are you acting like this with me?" Sakura, "I don't know how to react, it shouldn't have happened to me alone." Sai, "Why shouldn't it have happened?" Sakura, "Because you and I are friends, and I don't think we see each other that way." Sai, "I understand." Sakura, "Really?" Sai, "Yes, I understand why Naruto rejected you." Sakura, "What?" Sai, "It seems you're not capable of understanding other people's feelings, so don't worry, it didn't mean anything to me either." Sakura, "Sai, wait." Sai, "I just came to clear things up, so you don't have to avoid me anymore, goodbye." In a cloud of dust, the image disappeared in front of Sakura, who could only watch as she lost another special person in her life, feeling a bitter taste in her mouth. Would it always be like this for her? Would she have to lose the people she loved? What had she done wrong? Sakura walked with a lost look in her eyes, remembering her relationship with Sasuke, who hadn't taken her seriously, and how she could only expect suffering from him. She recalled years of psychological abuse and the times she constantly rejected him. Naruto, on the other hand, was the opposite. He wanted to be with her, showering her with affection and attention, yet Sakura despised him and made him look ridiculous. With the intense pain she felt for her unrequited love, she took it out on the blonde boy, doing to him everything Sasuke had done to her when they were children. Although seeing him again after her trip brought back memories of seeing her friend, she decided to be more considerate, kinder, and concerned for his well-being. She felt responsible for doing so, and also that this way she could atone a little for the guilt of having mistreated him when they were kids. She spent so much time with Naruto that she got to know him little by little. It felt good to be by his side and support him in his endeavors. She knew he was a good person, trustworthy, and without realizing it, she gradually fell in love with him. But she didn't dare be honest with herself, she still wanted things to stay the way they were. Perhaps out of fear that something would change, but also because at that moment she was still waiting for Sasuke. But when she lost Naruto, she felt devastated. In the end, she realized that Naruto shouldn't have to pay for her confused feelings, but she couldn't let him go either. Not without doing something about it, at least making sure he acknowledged her. Even though she had offered to be friends, she couldn't tolerate her feelings being forgotten, going unheard. Perhaps it was desperation or the heat of the moment, but she couldn't back down now, so she resigned herself. She thought of Sai, who had also been very special in her life, someone who had helped her recover by listening to all her sorrows. When she confessed her feelings to Naruto and he rejected her, it left her with anger and pain in her heart, and incredibly, thanks to those feelings, she did the same with Sai, who had helped her so much, and although he didn't say it, it was clear he felt something for her. But this time, Sai paid the price. Now she was faced with a dilemma, and she thought, if she lost the boy, what else did she have left to lose? The only thing she had left in her life was Naruto. They had made peace with him, now she could do something, though she didn't know what. She continued with her plan, at least it was the only thing she had left. End of chapter 22, Decision. Tsunade was furious. A day had passed without her hearing from Shizune. She couldn't ask about her because they would surely suspect something was wrong. She always went to Shizune when she had something important to do, so the blonde simply remained calm until she heard news of her. The civil council was investigating INO and Naruto's marriage certificate. They were just waiting for Shizune to retrieve it so they could protect it, though they weren't sure if she had. Suddenly, the door opened, revealing Shizune, who appeared with the documents in a briefcase. The blonde was pleased that she had obtained them, so she asked to call Naruto and INO so they could talk. However, as Shizune went to open the door, Kenjiro was there along with some ANBU and clan leaders, including Hayashi, who demanded that the documents be handed over by force or by any means necessary. Tsunade wasn't going to allow this, but Hayashi demanded that the document be annulled and torn up in front of everyone. The Hokage began arguing with them, trying to convince them. Tsunade, you can't distrust the documents. But at that moment, no one believed her, so Tsunade, seeing that she wasn't receiving support, wasn't going to allow any abuses against her. Tsunade, everything you're saying is unfounded, since you have no proof. As she looked at everyone present who were blocking the office exit, Kenjiro, actually, we do have someone. Emerging from the crowd, Sakura appeared, much to the woman's surprise. Tsunade had a confused look on her face. For the first time, the pink-haired girl would face her teacher in a context very different from training. Tsunade, Sakura. You're the witness. Sakura, that's right, Lady Tsunade. I know the truth about INO and Naruto, they confirmed it themselves. So I ask you to please hand over those documents. Tsunade, you've gone mad. They're using you. Sakura, that's not true. They're going to help me. Tsunade, help with what? Sakura, in marrying Naruto. Tsunade, all they care about is their own convenience. They'll just use you. You don't know them like I do. The Hyuga clan chief raised his voice in an authoritarian tone. Hayashi, enough, Tsunade. Give us the documents. Tsunade stood up from her seat. Her blood boiled with rage, she was going to kill someone. At that same moment, someone entered through the window. Their gaze fell upon everyone present. Kakashi, but, what's going on here? The atmosphere felt tense. Everyone saw Kakashi's figure standing beside Tsunade and understood why he was there. Kakashi was protecting the Hokage and looking after her interests. Hayashi, don't interfere, Kakashi. Kakashi, that decision isn't yours to make. You know, I've been doing some research on your clan and its connections to a bookie, and I found it very interesting. Hayashi raised an eyebrow. Hayashi, I don't know what you're talking about, Kakashi. Kenjiro, enough. Take the documents from her. The ANBU stepped forward to carry out the order, while more ANBU appeared beside the Hokage, who had anticipated this. Tsunade was watching the scene with anger, not only because Hayashi and the civilian council were there, but also because Sakura was helping them. What did that girl get herself into? That's what her master thought. She didn't know what had gotten into her head to make her do this, but she would have a talk with her. Kakashi raised his kunai, ready to fight, and Hayashi and the other clans would have to prepare. Kakashi was an experienced ninja, he knew very well how the ANBU acted in combat. He knew he had a chance, he simply wanted to finish quickly, and if necessary, he wouldn't let anyone leave. Sakura was scared. She hadn't felt this way since her last mission. A few weeks had passed, and her duties had changed. Most of her work consisted of being at the hospital, so she didn't do many important missions. The worry grew in her heart when she saw her two senseis so eager to fight. Would she dare fight them? The answer was no, but the idea still crossed her mind. Tsunade, that's enough. If you make a move, I will be forced to consider this a betrayal of Konoha, so if you continue, I will be forced to kill you. Everyone thought about her words. It really wasn't good, at least not for the clan's image. Everyone withdrew, but not before warning her that she would be tried in the presence of the feudal lord. When they left, only Sakura, Tsunade, and Kakashi remained, while Shizune and some ANBU were removed on the blonde's orders, leaving only the four of them in the office. Tsunade glared angrily at Sakura, while Kakashi's gaze showed almost no emotion. Sakura, Lady Tsunade. Tsunade, shut your mouth. And listen to me carefully, you will retract everything you said and you will not speak to anyone. Furthermore, you will leave Konoha for a mission and that's the end of it, you hear me, Sakura, you will leave Konoha. Sakura, I can't do it, Lady Tsunade. Tsunade, what do you mean, no? You conceited brat, it's an order. Sakura, I can't do it, because I want to marry Naruto. I want to be his wife and I won't let this opportunity slip away, even if I have to go against you, although perhaps it would have been different if you had told me the truth. Why didn't you tell me anything about INO and Naruto's marriage? It could have been me. Me who could have married him. Tsunade, Sakura, you can't go back to the past, you can't do that anymore, you can't do all this for your selfish desire. You're not a bad girl, I know everything overwhelms you. I see that these days while you're in the hospital. Shizune told me about your condition, and just by looking at you, I can see she's right, but you must understand that the world moves on with or without you, and in the end, you'll have to make a decision, destroy everything you have so far, or fix what you've done. There are several things at stake. Please, Sakura, reconsider. Sakura looked at her teacher, she was conflicted. Which path to take? Accept that she lost? Or abandon her plan and simply pretend that nothing happened? No. Pride got the better of me. Sakura, if it's because you're afraid of things going wrong, then don't worry, because I won't say a word about you. Tsunade, Sakura, if they reveal that INO and Naruto had a fake marriage, I'll be the one who suffers, don't you understand? Sakura, you didn't do anything, INO and Naruto are the ones who are married, I promise I'll do everything I can to prevent that from happening. Tsunade, just obey, damn it. Sakura, I'm sorry, Lady Tsunade, but I won't, with your permission. Tsunade, Kakashi, arrest Sakura. Kakashi, understood. The white-haired man was taking a few simple steps when he stopped in front of Sakura. Kakashi, it can't be. Poof. Sakura's figure vanished. Kakashi, a shadow clone, should have known. A vein popped out in Tsunade's face, and with all her energy, she screamed, Sakura. Sakura received all the mementos from the meeting with her senseis. As she received them, she pondered Tsunade's words. Perhaps the Hokage didn't know it, but she had managed to make Sakura doubt herself. However, she pushed those thoughts away, it was too late. Even if she wanted to leave, she couldn't, because she had already given her word, and the council wouldn't stand idly by. Unwittingly, she had gotten herself into something very dangerous that would result in a catastrophe for herself if she didn't do as they told her. Only a miracle could save her. Sakura, along with the civilian council members who accompanied her, planned to keep her safe and talked for a while. After finishing the conversation with the others, Hayashi left, bidding farewell to everyone, and went home to talk with his daughter. He realized that Sakura was going to do the work that Hinata had been going to do, but he wasn't going to trust the civilian council. Having them as allies didn't make much difference in terms of prestige, it was a bad move. He simply distrusted them, although they shared the same objective for now, that didn't mean they were allies. They could betray him at any moment, and it was better to do it himself. By the time he arrived at the mansion, the afternoon was over. As night fell, wondering if the girl would complete the mission, INO and Naruto had spent a lovely afternoon browsing shops, looking for new things to decorate their mansion. They entered a very large store that sold beds, sofas, and other items. Naruto asked, "What do you think about buying that lamp, INO-chan?" INO saw the fox-shaped lamp, which she thought was cute, and they bought it. The blonde girl noticed some pillows that caught her eye. They felt very comfortable to the touch and she chose them. Naruto, like INO, selected some paintings and sofas. Once they had everything they needed, the boy used the Flying Thunder God technique, which made carrying the things to their mansion much easier. It was a matter of seconds. He went from the store to his mansion with all his belongings. Finally, they were both at the mansion watching a romantic movie when INO remembered she had to go to the store near the mansion to buy some supplies, since they had nothing in the refrigerator, and it was important because she wanted to prepare something for him to have a welcome home dinner. INO left the mansion, much to Naruto's dismay, as he wanted her to stay, but she insisted, so he had to let her go. Naruto watched the movie while waiting on the sofa, thinking about the happiness he felt now that he was living with INO. He breathed a sigh of relief that things had finally worked out for them. Now he had to work hard to become Hokage. He had to study, even though he knew perfectly well it wasn't his strong suit, but he would do everything possible to achieve his dream and give INO-chan the life she deserved. Everything was going well, and he loved the moment. He wasn't thinking about anyone else until he remembered Sakura. He thought about their friendship. He knew he had said yes to resuming their partnership, but he wasn't sure if he would follow through. After all, they had a long history, but if he was sure of one thing, he didn't love her anymore. For the first time, he felt free of those feelings. Now he considered Sakura part of his past. He felt relieved to feel this way. With renewed energy, he could do 1,000 squats and not get tired. He flashed a wide smile, thinking that if this had happened to him, he hoped the other girls from his past felt the same way, even Hinata, whom he hadn't seen much of in Konoha. The last time he'd seen her was when she came to his aid during a bookie's fight, though very late. He hadn't greeted her because he was in a hurry to get to the hospital with INO. Since then, he hadn't heard from her. He pushed those thoughts aside and decided to change the channel to watch something else. Romantic movies weren't his thing, he only watched them because his sweetheart wanted him to. But since he wasn't keen on an action movie, he went to the kitchen to check his refrigerator for anything decent to eat, only to find there was nothing. Naruto, maybe INO-chan will bring some food. Hinata had been serious ever since she spoke with her father yesterday. She hadn't stopped thinking about his proposal all day. She was in her room, not having gone out at all. Her sister had brought her something to eat and tried to talk to her, but she didn't say anything, just remained silent. He had told her that Sakura was trying to marry Naruto, canceling his wedding to INO, since it seemed to have been a lie by Lady Tsunade. This was her chance to tie Naruto to the village and, who knows, maybe even marry the blonde boy. She resisted, refusing to obey her father's order. She cried and begged, but Hayashi ignored her. The shouts reached Hanabi's ears without her realizing it. After the argument with her father ended, she gave in and finally agreed. She stopped thinking and set off into this new night. She left her room, seen by her sister, who approached her. "Hanabi, where are you going?" That question left her unanswered. The girl was unwell. She simply stared at her and replied with something that came to mind. "Hinata, I'm going outside to think for a while." She herself didn't know what to do about the decision she had made. As she left her sister worried, wanting to say something, but the words wouldn't come, and she didn't dare say anything more. Upon leaving, Hinata adjusted her ninja headband and walked with slight difficulty. Despite everything, at least she would do what they asked. The council of elders of the Hyuga clan agreed. According to her plan, they promised that if she became pregnant, she would be free to marry whomever she wanted, and then that child would be accepted, and she would be exonerated of any wrongdoing. Of course, what she didn't know was that all of that was a lie. However, her lack of patience and the pressure prevented Hinata from fully reconsidering. As she walked, she stopped at the Konoha stalls and decided to go into one, buying ramen to go. After that, she waited outside Naruto's mansion. She hadn't known he had moved, but thanks to her father's information, she was able to pinpoint his location. She kept watch in a secluded spot, hidden from view, waiting for an opportunity, a habit she had honed. Images flashed through her mind, and one of them was Kiba. Her eyes widened at the memory. Even after all this suffering, she could still think about him. How would she face him again without feeling ashamed? She knew Kiba would disapprove without hesitation. A little while passed, and she kept wondering, how can I look him in the face, after assuring him she would keep her word? Tears flowed too quickly, a victim of her insecurity and suffering. She wiped her eyes, remembering the happy moments with her teammate, nor could Hana hide her sadness. She was also wondering what feelings she might develop for the boy if she gave him a chance, as her sister had hinted. She saw INO leave the mansion and, using her Byakugan, noticed that only one other person was there. She emerged from her hiding place, but not before watching the girl go. When she saw her disappear into the distance, she knocked on the door, seeing someone peeking out to answer it. She waited attentively. The blonde boy opened the door with a smile, but it vanished when he saw her. Naruto, Hinata. Hinata, hello, Naruto-kun. Naruto, what are you doing here? Hinata, I came to give you this. She held up a bag of ramen. Hinata, I thought you'd like it. It's a special one, prepared just for you. Naruto grabbed the bag and saw that it really did contain ramen. He looked up at her and... Hinata, gentle fist. Naruto, ugh. Naruto's body froze at the technique. He lay on the ground while Hinata stared at him with those pearly eyes. He took a few seconds and, with complete determination, entered the mansion and closed the door. Hanabi was worried about Hinata. She knew it was crazy. An ANBU from the Hyuga clan had informed her about Hinata's whereabouts. When she found out, she went to help her, but upon opening the mansion door, she found Kiba. She invited him to accompany her and said she would explain everything on the way. Upon learning everything, the boy increased his speed, Hanabi following closely behind. They both drove at top speed, nervous about what might happen. Kiba was worried and very disappointed that this was happening. INO watched the pair speed away. She was going to wave, but they didn't even turn to look at her. Her attitude seemed strange, but when she saw where they were headed, her heart skipped a beat. Something told her something bad was going to happen. Hinata laid Naruto on the bed, took off her jacket, leaving only her bra on. She looked at the blonde boy, who was calm. Seeing him like this reminded her why she liked Naruto. She could see he was cute, and it wouldn't take any effort to take him. She moved a little closer to admire him more closely, but she couldn't feel anything. She didn't want anything, not to steal a kiss, not to have anything with him. Her heart wouldn't allow it. So much pent-up suffering and a strange force within her prevented her from carrying out her mission. She knew this wouldn't last. It simply wouldn't be a pleasant moment for anyone. She definitely wouldn't stay with him. Tears of frustration welled up in her eyes, falling onto Naruto's face. She wiped them away and took a deep breath. A few minutes later, the sound of the door being abruptly opened let the two figures in. They searched the living room, but realized there was nothing there. It was 2 floors, so they hurried to search every possible place. Upon opening one of the bedrooms, Kiba said, Hinata. You. The girl was dressed, her jacket on, and sitting on the bed. She looked at her teammate in front of the door. Behind her, Naruto was still dressed. Hinata, I couldn't do it, crying. Hanabi came into the room and hugged her sister, who wouldn't stop crying. Kiba sighed at that and just stood there waiting for her to calm down, but that calm wouldn't last long because someone entered the room. A girl with blue eyes was paying attention to the scene. INO, what's going on here? Kiba, Hinata, and Hanabi, INO. Kiba, this can be explained. INO, why is Hinata crying? The girls saw Naruto lying on the bed. INO, Naruto. The girl approached the bed to wake him up. INO, why is he sweating? What did they do to Naruto? Kiba, INO, you'd better sit down. An explanation later. INO, what? Hinata did what? Damn it, don't you dare touch him. Kiba managed to hold Ino's arms back, which wouldn't stop moving. The girl's fists trembled, unable to punch Hinata right there and unleash all the fury she felt for what she had heard. Meanwhile, Hinata's face grew alarmed by Ino's temper. Luckily, she was being hugged by Hanabi, who was there to protect her if anything happened. Hinata covered her face with her hands, writhing in shame and fear, when she saw the blonde girl approach her, her eyes blazing with fury that showed no hesitation, a desire to kill her right then and there. A noise was heard behind Hinata. It was Naruto slowly waking up. Naruto, what's going on here? Ino-chan, Hinata, Kiba, and Hanabi. What's happening? Naruto touched his face. Naruto, why am I sweating? As he looked around, only one person cleared up his doubt. Hinata, they're tears. Naruto, huh? A few hours later, Hanabi, it's not her fault. Ino, of course it is, she agreed, and look at her sitting on the bed. Don't you have anything to say? Naruto, Hinata, this is serious, tell me, why did you do it? Hanabi, we already told you everything, what else do you want to know? Kiba, let her breathe a little. Ino, well. I'm listening, what do you have to say? Hinata was emotionally exhausted, she just wanted it all to be over. After telling them what they wanted to know, she was devastated, nervous, and ashamed. She wanted to escape and leave Konoha so no one could find her. To make matters worse, Kiba was there, and he heard everything. She regretted not fighting to stand firm, but that's how things happened. Hinata, in my family, the elders have a lot of power. Just like my father, I had to obey, even if it went against my will. It would be a terrible decision not to do it. You wouldn't understand even if I wanted to. You'd take other measures to convince me. This mission would be a chance for me to get out of all this, since having your whole life decided for you is something I don't like. It was like a dream, but I couldn't do it. Ino, why not? You could have, but you didn't. Hinata, because I wouldn't be happy. I know I wouldn't live in peace. Besides, what for, to receive some affection from Naruto, when he doesn't love me? Naruto looked distressed at Hinata, realizing she had suffered, but this was too much. Kiba approached her, stood in front of her, crouched down, and took her hands. She was still sitting on the bed with Hanabi hugged to one side. Kiba, Hinata, I'm proud of you. Hinata's eyes widened at Kiba's words, she didn't know how to react. Hinata, proud? Why? I lied to you. I didn't keep my word. Kiba, you're wrong, you did it, you stopped and realized it in time. No matter how things turned out, even if we had made it, it might have been too late, but you didn't, and that's what matters. You're very brave, Hinata. If you have any problems, please feel free to talk to me. Don't be afraid. Don't push me away. Hinata was shocked by Kiba's words, her heart racing, blushing at his actions. Hanabi noticed this when she saw Hinata's face. Kiba-kun, she said. Kiba hugged Hinata, surprising everyone in the room. Hanabi released her hug so her sister could embrace him, realizing what was happening. Naruto's eyes rolled back, he hadn't known Kiba had feelings for Hinata. Ino, on the other hand, watched the scene in amazement, dying to know more about their relationship, even though it wasn't the right time. Hinata returned Kiba's hug, her blush becoming even more pronounced because of everyone present. A sound interrupted the moment, a familiar cough. Am I interrupting? Kakashi asked. Kakashi-sensei, what are you doing here? Kakashi, well, the Hokage wants to see you first thing tomorrow morning, it's urgent. Ino and Naruto looked at their faces and then at Kakashi, who didn't want to know anything about what was happening in the room. To be honest, he just wanted to leave as soon as possible to read his Ika and enjoy his night, but he promised the group he would listen to everything in the morning. End of chapter 23, Tsunade's Secret. After talking for a few moments, the blondes let Hinata sleep in one of the mansion's rooms while Hanabi was escorted home by Kiba. They later returned to talk to Hinata and keep her safe. However, the Kunoichi stayed in one of the rooms on the first floor and locked herself in, letting Kiba go sleep in another room 2 doors down, telling her he would be close by if she needed anything. Ino and Naruto were in a second-floor room. They had lain down on the bed to try to fall asleep, but after a few hours, they couldn't. They were wide awake, much to their dismay, because of everything that had happened, and the silence was simply uncomfortable. Naruto, what are you thinking about, Ino-chan? Ino, I was thinking about the proposal they made to Hinata. I'm not convinced by the words of the Council of Elders. Naruto, I know, it's strange. They were supposed to leave her alone, but, what if they hadn't? Ino, I don't know, but I don't like where this is going. Naruto, in my opinion, they set a trap for her and me. They just wanted to tie me down to her family, that's all. Ino, you're right. They probably wouldn't have kept their promise. I think they see Hinata as a tool to use. In that case, it could have all been a lie, which could have hurt her. I don't believe the story that they would forgive her. Naruto, I don't think so either. It wouldn't have made much of a difference, besides, having a child. I think it would be difficult to raise one in that situation, and even worse if there's no love. Ino, even worse. Naruto, besides, if I ever had a child, I'd want it to be yours, Ino-chan. Ino, huh? What's that about? Naruto, well, I'd love to. Ino blushed at the suggestion. She had imagined being a mother, having a family, and being happy with them along with her work. After all, she was at a stage in her life where all she wanted was to settle down and enjoy her achievements as both a future clan leader and a ninja doctor. Ino, well, we can try. Naruto's eyes widened. He hadn't thought she'd accept so quickly, especially given their current situation. He was glad she agreed, a smile forming on his face. Naruto, really, Ino-chan? Ino, yes, I would like to be a mother. Naruto, really? But I thought you wouldn't want to right now. Ino, why do you say that? Naruto, I can sense your insecurities. You know, I'm not that dense. I know you ask about my past to get to know me better. I'm sure sometimes you think you don't know me well enough, or that you can have a life with me with everything that's going on around us, and I'm sorry about that. Ino, Naruto, Naruto, let me finish. I love you, Ino-chan, and I'll make you happy. I'll try my best to please you and be a great support to you. Maybe I won't be the ideal husband with all this, but I'll try my best. Ino stole a kiss from the blonde before he could say anything else. Ino, that's enough, I believe you. I know we have a long way to go to be a normal couple with all these secrets and problems, but I know we'll overcome it. I know we'll be happy. Naruto smiled broadly at his blonde love's words. He was happy she said that, now he could rest better. Ino felt comfortable with each other, too. Obviously, the world didn't change because of those words, but together they would bear that responsibility and make their lives something beautiful to remember. Naruto, so, what do we do? Ino, well, I'm fully recovered now. We can try something more than just kissing. Naruto smirked as he settled into bed, getting a little closer to Ino. He smiled at her playfully. Naruto, I love being able to try. Ino, ha ha ha, you're terrible. In another room, Kiba's head was spinning. His room, more deserted than ever, began to echo with his thoughts louder than ever. Staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep, he decided to do something about it. He got out of bed to leave, but as he approached the door, it rang. Surprised by the noise, he opened it. Kiba, Hinata. Hinata, hello, Kiba-kun. Can I come in? Kiba, yes, come in. Hinata entered Kiba's room. She was nervous, but she decided she wouldn't back down this time. Meanwhile, the boy closed his door and turned to look at her. Kiba, what's wrong, Hinata? Hinata, I came to apologize. I lied to you and distanced myself from you, I'm sorry. The boy watched as Hinata bowed, while he looked at her calmly, but indifferently. He was exhausted, sad, and worried, so many emotions he didn't know how to handle. He had several feelings bottled up inside, so he simply chose to ignore them because otherwise he would explode right then and there. He had said he was proud of her, but he was also hurt by the lies and, above all, by his inability to see that his partner was going through a difficult time and couldn't do anything. He hadn't even been a good partner to her. Kiba, you don't have to. I told you I was proud of you. Besides, it's not like that matters. And another thing, why are you apologizing to me? After all, I'm nobody to you. Hinata, you're wrong. You are someone special to me. Kiba, oh, really? I don't know. What would someone special be to you? Hinata, well. I don't know. Kiba, it doesn't matter. I have someone special to me. Her name is Hana. She's very sweet and kind. She understands me, you know. Hinata was surprised by what she said. She still hadn't told him the truth about Hana, something that embarrassed her greatly because she didn't want to hurt him so much by telling him. Hinata, Kiba, well, I have to tell you something about Hana. Kiba looked at her attentively, thinking she was going to tell him the truth, but she didn't say anything. He waited for her to finish her sentence, but when he saw that it wasn't happening, he encouraged her to continue. So, in a soft tone, he told her to go on. Hinata, I'm Hana. Kiba, I can't hear you, Hinata. Hinata raised her voice so that she could be heard. Hinata, I'm Hana. Kiba saw the girl close her eyes as if she expected him to yell at her or reproach her, but that never happened. However, something else happened. Kiba, I know. Hinata opened her eyes at that. Several things raced through her mind. Had she heard right? Or had Kiba known she was Hana all along? Hinata, huh? Kiba, I knew it. From the first moment we met, I knew it. Your scent gives you away, and your personality a little too. Hinata was very surprised. She thought she had deceived her teammate. Hinata, but why? Why didn't you tell me? Kiba, can't you see? Haven't you realized yet? It's because I missed you. Her pearl eyes widened slightly, and she froze. Hinata, but. Kiba, I missed you. I miss you. He moved closer and closer to touch her hands. Hinata, you're a fool. Kiba moved even closer to her face, staring intently. At that moment, Hinata remembered what she had told her sister, which was that Kiba would try to kiss her, and she had accepted it. She had accepted that strange feeling and that impulse to know what she would feel. Hinata approached him, breaking the silence with a kiss. Hinata tenderly savored Kiba's lips, while he felt an enormous sensation of pleasure from the mere act. He took her waist, and they both stood in the middle of the room. They finished the situation, a little nervous. Kiba still had her by the waist, wondering what was wrong. Kiba, what's wrong? Hinata, nothing, it's just a little embarrassing. Kiba, yeah, maybe. Kiba looked at Hinata with a hint of sadness. Kiba, you didn't like it, did you? Hinata, no, I'm just confused and worried about everything. Okay, I'm going. Kiba was thinking about what he had done with Hinata. If he couldn't sleep before, now it couldn't be worse. So Kiba lay down on his bed and covered his face with his pillow, muttering softly. Kiba, Hinata, I don't understand you. Hinata closed the door and went straight to her room. She sat on her bed and sighed. Hinata, yes, I liked it, Kiba-kun. The next morning, the ninjas went to see Lady Tsunade in her office. They needed to discuss the problem that had arisen. Upon entering, Naruto explained what had happened, and after a few strange looks from the Hokage upon seeing Hinata and Kiba, she understood that it was a serious matter. After the explanation, Tsunade was astonished by how everything had happened, as well as indignant at such infamy on the part of the Hyuga family elders. She couldn't believe that those dinosaurs would abandon tradition so easily, although the most understandable reason was that they wanted to gain some benefit from the pregnancy. Realizing that they had nothing more to say, she decided that she would take matters into her own hands to help the children, but first she would speak with Ino and Naruto about a delicate matter. So she asked Hinata and Kiba to wait for the moment, since they would later undertake a mission that might solve their problem once and for all. The boys nodded and left, leaving the three blondes behind. Ino and Naruto focused their attention on the Hokage. The seriousness of her expression was noticeable, and her concern was palpable. Naruto, what's wrong, Granny Tsunade? Ino, are you alright? Tsunade, boys, I really wish I could tell you this under different circumstances, but... Tsunade took a briefcase from one of her drawers, removed a document, and placed it on her desk. Tsunade, this I have here is a marriage contract. Ino, what about it? Naruto, I already spoke. Tsunade, your marriage contract is not valid in Konoha. Ino and Naruto, huh? Naruto, what do you mean by that, Granny? Tsunade, it's hard to explain, but, basically, I had a fake marriage contract drawn up by a judge who doesn't have jurisdiction in Konoha, meaning he can't marry couples due to bureaucratic reasons. He was someone I trusted, and I easily got it passed, but the document was never validated, so it remains just a piece of paper. In short, without a marriage contract, they're not legally married. This surprised the kids, who couldn't believe what they were hearing. Tsunade's words were still echoing in their minds as they tried to process it. Naruto, this has to be a joke. Why didn't she tell us anything? We deserve to know the truth. Ino, you're right. You know how much we suffered from keeping you in the dark at the beginning, with so many suspicions. Why did you do it and say nothing about it? Why? Tsunade, I thought it would take away the sadness of a divorce. I know it's not easy to leave someone, so I thought of telling you at the last minute so you could get things done without so much paperwork or the embarrassment of people talking. Besides, the lie would be more believable, since if you believed it, others would too. Ino, no. That didn't guarantee anything. When you told me about this, I told you I trusted you. Tsunade, I know, Ino, and I'm sorry, but now I'm asking you to do it one more time. Naruto, but Grandma, do you know what all that effort for nothing means? How will this be resolved? Tsunade, well, I really wanted to think about it a lot, but the conclusion I've come to is that you have to get married again. That's the solution. Ino, no getting married. Naruto and I will do it when we want, but not like this. Naruto, Grandma's right, it's pointless now. I love Ino, and we'll get married when we want, not when the bosses want us to. Tsunade, you're crazy. We lied to you. Now you won't be able to get your inheritance, and more importantly, your surname. Naruto, I don't care. I'm tired of being forced to do things for them. Now I want to destroy them, and if necessary, I'll leave Konoha just to see them suffer. Ino, Naruto. Tsunade, you win. Fine, if that's not possible, at least help me with the other option. Ino and Naruto, another option? What is it? Tsunade, I want you to capture Sakura. Naruto, what about Sakura? Tsunade, 3 words, witness. Ino, what? That crazy woman dared to speak. Tsunade, you knew it? Ino, I didn't think she would. Tsunade, I know. Naruto, what's wrong? After a later explanation, Tsunade was surprised that Sakura would go to such extremes, but Ino felt she was being clear about separating her from Naruto, but she wouldn't succeed, at least not without a fight. For Naruto, this was uncomfortable and very disappointing since he had accepted Sakura as a friend. He wondered, how could she do that to him? Naruto clenched his hands, remembering those green eyes. Naruto, Sakura, with disappointment. Although for Tsunade things were worse, since if she managed to testify in favor of Hayashi along with the civil council, it could create a problem with the feudal lord, and it would also be an act unbecoming of the Hokage. Furthermore, falsifying a document would become a real legal problem. The Hokage considered her options for getting out of this situation. So far, there were only Sakura, the judge, and the fake marriage certificate, which she couldn't destroy because it would look suspicious. The alternative of them signing a new marriage certificate was out of the question. The more stubborn blondes wouldn't do it, so after thinking a little more, an idea occurred to her. Ino, are you okay? Naruto, not really. I still can't believe she did that. A few days ago I thought we could be okay, now I'm surprised to find that it's not like that. I don't really know what to feel. Ino, don't hurt yourself. Naruto, I can't help it, after all, she's my friend, although now I'm not so sure. Ino, I understand, she's my friend too, and even though I dislike everything she did, I really would have liked to be on good terms with her. Naruto looked at Ino and smiled slightly. Naruto, don't worry, Ino-chan, we'll get through this. Kakashi entered through the window and then summoned Hinata and Kiba, who were waiting outside, to tell them what he was thinking and the plan they should follow. Sakura and the head of the civilian council, Kenjiro, discussed the trial. They were planning to summon the feudal lord urgently when they discovered that he was near the village on business. They sent a letter to summon him and waited for his response so they could put an end to Tsunade's lies. Sakura pondered what she would say if called to testify. She was certain she could help Tsunade by saying only what was necessary to minimize the damage, yet that seemed unlikely. Unless she could argue something like she'd been forced or something similar, she didn't have much time to prepare. By the time she regained some composure, she felt she had betrayed her. Imagining Tsunade's stern expression and hard gaze only left her devastated. Tsunade was practically a second mother to her. Her words had been forceful, but Sakura's stubbornness clouded her judgment. The pink-haired girl remained under guard by several ANBU. A few hours passed before she was dispatched to a hidden location where the ninja couldn't find her in Konoha. The girl was under a lot of stress, and the only thing she could think of to get rid of it was to take a bath. Right now, all she wanted to do besides bathe was drink alcohol and forget her problems, maybe with a good chat with her friends, but at that moment she remembered she didn't have any. The only close friend was Ino, and now, with what she had done, she was sure Ino would hate her. She thought about Hinata, whom she hadn't seen in a long time, and shook her head. Hinata had been acting very strange lately. Then she thought about Tenten, but she knew it was impossible since she spent most of her time training with her team. Little by little, she realized she had no one. Sasuke had left Konoha, Naruto was another story, and Sai, well, he who had become her confidant when she was sad hadn't appeared in her life since they last spoke. She remembered that he had comforted her more than once, so it would be nice if he did it again, although she knew that was very difficult to do. In the end, she realized something: one never values something until it is completely lost. A few tears fell down her cheek, which she wiped away with her hand. She dressed in her usual clothes and went to her armchair. Turning on the television in front of her, she relaxed a little and sighed. She wasn't sure if this would get her to be with Naruto, but at least there was no turning back now. She was sure she would come to the feudal lord tomorrow, so she was certain she would win. If not Naruto, at least a little revenge. Tsunade had dismissed everyone from the hall. She was reading the letter from the feudal lord, which stated that she would be coming tomorrow for the emergency trial in Konoha and that she had to postpone all her plans to come here. Of course, this was going to be a private meeting, only the clan heads and the feudal lord would be with her to discuss this matter. Tsunade, I hope everything goes well." As they left, the group separated, leaving the blondes to walk towards their mansion. They were discussing Sakura's attitude, which they didn't like very much. "Naruto, I still can't believe Sakura did that. I thought she would be different this time." "INO, she's an idiot, she really thought she'd get away with it. What makes me angriest is that she involved the civil council." "Naruto, calm down, INO-chan, we'll stop her. We have to. I'll find her and..." "INO, and..." Naruto sighed at that. "Naruto, honestly, I don't know what to do. She's my friend, and technically, she's not committing a crime." "INO, but Naruto, she's hurting you with this. Besides, it was for a just cause. The council was hurting you." "Naruto, I know, and that's why it's difficult." A voice broke into their conversation, revealing who it was. "Sai, then help her." The blondes turned around and saw someone familiar behind them. "INO and Naruto, huh? Sai. What are you doing here?" "Sai, I came to tell you to help her. I know Sakura's gotten herself into real trouble, so I need you to make her think." "INO, what makes you think that will work?" "Sai, I just know, if he does it, she'll surely accept." "Naruto, Sai, but she's on the side of the civilian council." "Sai, I know she's made mistakes, but I firmly believe she's not bad, just a little crazy and stubborn. Sometimes she can show the opposite, but only if confronted, and in this case, only if you do it. After all, she loves you, at least in her own way." "Naruto, but..." "Sai, if it were Sasuke, wouldn't you do everything possible to help him? Remember, she's also your teammate and supported you on your missions, maybe not in the best way, but she was there." "INO, Sai, do you like Sakura?" "Sai, INO, you know her. Sometimes she can be charming when she's in a good mood. Don't resent her, you know how she is. So, Naruto, remember this when you decide." A cloud of smoke made Sai's figure disappear, leaving the blondes deep in thought. "INO, so, what will you do?" Naruto took Ino's hand and smiled at her. End of chapter 24, Revelations. The next morning Hinata entered her father's office, looking for documents that linked Ibuki to his clan, but she found nothing. Meanwhile, Hanabi sent some ANBU from her clan to find the elders so she could speak with them. Most of the ANBU who had been called in had disappeared without anyone noticing, and they were all acquaintances of Hinata's, as they were the ninjas who had trained her in the past, which made her support invaluable. In this case, they would take on the mission of finding the elders. After a few moments, one of them appeared in front of Hanabi in the courtyard. She was with INO, Kiba, and Akamaru, and upon seeing him, she told them she had located the group. They were hiding in a strange building, which at first glance didn't seem very remarkable, but judging by the people around it, it seemed they were protecting something. When she went to investigate, she was surprised to find a colleague of hers there, and after a few conversations, she deduced that they were there. Kiba smiled slightly. "Kiba, at least we found them, now we just need Sakura. INO, we have to hurry before Tsunade's trial starts. Kiba, we should wait for Hinata. INO, I'll go get her." INO walked straight to the office where Hinata was. While she was searching through the drawers, she noticed something strange, a piece of paper with an address and then some letters, which were coded, but when she saw where they came from, she was able to decipher them. The letter was from the Civil Council, talking about Sakura. She narrowed her eyes when she saw that name and drew her conclusions. The address on it was Sakura's. When she arrived, INO looked at her seriously. "Hinata, I know where Sakura is." INO, perfect. Upon going out to the courtyard, they saw Naruto talking with Kiba. They stopped their conversation when they saw them arrive, and the girls hurried to explain. Naruto headed in that direction and left with some ANBU to look for Sakura, while the other ANBU went with the group of 4, Kiba, Akamaru, INO, and Hinata, toward the Council of Elders. Upon arriving, they were met with a battle with the Council of Elders ninjas, who were determined not to let anyone in. Hinata used her kunai to slash at anyone who crossed her path, but they were repelled by the enemy. INO took advantage of the commotion to slip away and enter with Kiba. They both entered, seeing the council. When they smiled at them, there were more of them inside. Kiba, Giant Ninpo. Shadow Clone Technique. Akamaru transformed into a ferocious, human form of Kiba, attacking the enemy Anbu, while INO prepared her kunai for the attack. Several cuts on different parts of her body represented the effort one could exert trying to fight in a very confined space. Being a room with several ninjas, they had to be careful not to make a false move. When one of them approached Kiba dangerously, INO jumped and, forming a sphere in her palm, shouted the favorite technique of a certain blonde, INO, Rasengan. Boom! Destruction and smoke covered the entire place, some tried to escape while others stayed to fight. Hinata saw two of the group of 6 elders fleeing and went after them to confront them. It must be said that their skills were enough to make it a challenge. In the end, some were captured, but it was enough since everyone needed to know about the plans being made in Konoha. So, those captured were taken back to the place where they were gathered. They couldn't waste time, they were racing against the clock. Hinata could see the faces of those who considered themselves authority in the Hyuga family, their gazes were filled with hatred toward her. It was an understatement to say that this would be considered treason, but she knew she had to be strong. INO took a breath before pointing at one of the captured individuals. Kiba was looking fiercely at the captured people, but seeing Hinata's distress, he knew it wasn't easy for her. The blonde made a hand seal and, with complete concentration, looked at the person in front of her. INO, Shintenshin no Jutsu. The jutsu allowed her to enter the old man's mind, who was struggling to resist. The blonde began to release memories of the many meetings they had and the plans they secretly carried out behind the backs of clan head Hayashi Hyuga. She recalled the moment they told Hayashi he had to tell Hinata that they agreed she could have Naruto's child, and then she saw the girl's expression at a meeting with them, her eyes filled with sadness and disappointment after her father told her the news. She felt sorry for her, and then she saw what they said after she left. She saw that they conspired to use Naruto's son as a weapon, to exclude Hinata from the clan for breaking tradition, to overthrow Hayashi, and to marry Hanabi off to anyone who could take her away, a terrible thing for them to do. Then she saw that they offered her to Ibuki, and she saw the plans they had for him, which was to seize control of Konoha. She even saw that they offered Hanabi to him as part of the deal, in case he wanted a wife. She grew increasingly agitated and continued searching for more information, papers, documents, exits, and much more, until she finished her search and left the old man's mind. Upon exiting, INO spoke with Kiba and Hinata. Kiba was surprised by the information and looked at Hinata to see her expression, but he realized that she wasn't sad, on the contrary, she was furious. Hinata was processing the news. She saw that everything she had done, everything she had sacrificed to support her family, the Hyuga clan, had been in vain. And the worst part was that they had given away her sister, in the most vile way, without any warning or consultation, simply as an exchange, as if she were an object. Did she have to continue enduring so many humiliations? Would it always be like this? Was it because she was born the firstborn of the Hyuga patriarch? All this time, her father had looked out for his own interests and never for theirs. She never asked them what she wanted, and the worst part was that the suffering and anxiety were suffocating her. She wanted to scream, cry, and destroy whatever she pleased. She never had the freedom to do anything she liked, at least not without following her clan's rules, which she hated because she had to be submissive, always obedient, and that bothered her, it disgusted her. Hinata, you bastards! How could you do this to me? INO, Hinata. Bam! The sound was devastating. Hinata had struck one of them, and everyone was astonished by the tremendous force. The poor man went flying, crashing into the wall, which bore the brunt of his impact. No one said anything, they didn't want to further inflame the Kunoichi's fury, but the hatred was evident in their eyes. Hinata, ever since they asked me to do that, I've been worried constantly. Always on edge about what I was going to do. No one took pity on me, no one. Liars. None of you were going to keep your word. I fell for it like a fool, and the worst part is you dragged my sister into it. Idiots. Hinata's words surprised Ino and Kiba. Akamaru didn't bark once, paying attention to the kunoichi who was so angry she seemed unrecognizable. For Hinata, it was liberating to be able to say these things. Maybe she didn't say enough, but telling them all felt liberating. Ino, Hinata, we have to go. We need to inform the Hokage. Hinata put her feelings aside to concentrate on the mission. Hinata, okay. Kiba, alright, let's go. Hinata, wait. Ino and Kiba, Hinata mustered up the courage to say these words because she thought it was the best way to help and, for once in her life, face her problems, since she couldn't always depend on her friends. Hinata, I want to be the one to tell her. Kiba, are you sure? Hinata, yes. I think I can finally do what I promised you a long time ago, Kiba-kun. Hinata said, a little shyly but determined to do this. Kiba, Hinata. Ino, you can do it, Hinata. Hinata, for the first time in my life, I'll face my father. Kiba, very well, let's go. Ino, we'll let the ANBU send them to interrogate us to make it official. The ANBU nodded at Ino's words and took all the detainees away, while the four headed to their Hokage's trial. At the trial, the civilian council was preparing everything along with the clan heads. The evidence that proved Tsunade had lied was palpable. They could almost taste the suffering the Hokage was enduring in that chair. If necessary, she would pay for making them look foolish, and that would soon become a reality. Tsunade sat with her hands clasped, waiting for someone to come through the door and bring her good news. However, that didn't happen, so the hearing began, much to her surprise. Apparently, the feudal lord would be a little longer, so they wanted to start as soon as possible. The civil council wanted to prove to the clans that the Hokage had committed an offense against Hayashi, the one who had recently formed an alliance with them to remove Lady Tsunade began to speak. Hayashi, you have been accused of document forgery, lying to the council leaders, and breaking your promise to the clans that Ino and Naruto would marry. On the contrary, you covered up this act, making us believe they were in a relationship when in reality it was all an act. Furthermore, you violated Konoha's laws. What do you have to say about this? Tsunade, nothing. All your thoughts are slander. I have no reason to lie. Everyone remained expectant, but the civilian council was shocked and shouted, how dare she lie like this? This is unheard of. Tsunade, I have nothing to hide. If you are so sure, show your proof. I want to see you. You really can't prove that. Hayashi, we investigated the judge who performed the ceremony, and we were surprised to find he was an acquaintance of yours. You were even comrades in past wars. What a coincidence that he left the village without testifying about this matter. And they haven't even shown Ino and Naruto's marriage certificate. Tsunade, if you want to see them, here they are. I'm not hiding anything. Tsunade threw the documents onto the table. Kenjiro, one of the leaders of the civilian council, grabbed them first and passed them around to all the clans. They passed through several hands, and everyone thought it best to have them reviewed by a specialist. The tension in the room was palpable. Tsunade was praying the others wouldn't be long, so she remained calm to avoid arousing suspicion. Elsewhere, Naruto arrived at Sakura's location and realized she was being guarded by ANBU. He raised his kunai and attacked, followed by several allied ANBU, who joined the fight. Naruto dispatched everyone in his path, then turned his attention to the pink-haired girl, who fled at top speed. Sakura knew Naruto was incredibly strong and didn't want to take any risks, but just when she thought she'd lost him, he appeared before her. She boosted her chakra to its maximum and, with a swift burst, increased her speed in a matter of seconds. However, Naruto managed to catch up to her, grabbing her waist. He was behind her, holding her, but an elbow strike from the kunoichi sent him flying into one of the walls. For a moment, Naruto couldn't breathe. A direct punch to his face knocked Naruto unconscious for a few seconds, but upon regaining consciousness, he counterattacked with a kick, which Sakura blocked with her left arm. Sakura channeled her energy with her right fist into the next blow, aiming for his stomach. However, the blonde boy vanished, leaving the wall behind him to absorb his full force. He felt a faint breath behind his neck, and it wasn't until he turned around that he lost his breath. Naruto, Rasengan. Boom, the impact struck Sakura directly, knocking her unconscious. Naruto rushed to her, scooped her up in his arms, and vanished. The explosion signaled to the ninjas that Naruto had likely found something. They prepared to retreat and, at one point, informed Kakashi that the plan was working. The allied ANBU then brought the elders in for questioning. The copy ninja nodded and joined the group. INO, Kiba, and Hinata were advancing toward Lady Tsunade. They were worried that they had been beaten to it, or worse, that they had condemned Tsunade. They increased their speed and could see that they were getting closer. The feudal lord had arrived at the meeting, apologizing for his lateness. They explained the situation to him, which greatly upset him. He knew it was serious, though strange. Feudal lord, why would Tsunade do something like this? With complete concern, they still needed to hear the Hokage's version and her explanation about the forged document, but just as she was about to speak, the door suddenly burst open. The sight of Hinata bursting through the door, followed by INO and Kiba, was quite surprising to the feudal lord. Feudal lord, who are you? INO, feudal lord, we're sorry, but it's important. Feudal lord, INO. Kiba, Hinata has something important to tell you. Hinata stared at her father, her gaze unwavering. She knew it was time to set things right. This time, she wouldn't run away. This time, she would do what her heart believed was right. Hinata, Hayashi, Hinata. Leave the meeting. Her father's voice made the girl pause, however. Hinata, no. I don't want to. I'm going to speak, so you're going to listen to me. Hayashi was astonished by the girl's attitude, as were INO and Kiba. Kiba smiled slightly at his teammate, friend, and love interest's newfound demeanor. Hinata continued, in the last few hours, we've gathered a great deal of information about Ibuki's betrayal and the accomplices. There were two groups, the first was the Civilian Council, and the second, much to my dismay, was the Hyuga clan's Council of Elders. They were illegally financing Ibuki's various dealings with other villages, so I accused them both of betraying Konoha. It was also the Council of Elders, along with my father, who decided to betray Naruto and me, forcing me to bear his child to use as a weapon to rule Konoha, expelling me and overthrowing my father as clan head. Hinata's words were tinged with deep sorrow, yet simultaneously with strength and resolve. All of these qualities made her feel good for a reason. She was venting her feelings and, above all, confronting her problems. Tsunade had more documents on her desk besides the marriage certificate. No one noticed because most were focused on the Hokage's reaction, and placing it on the table was proof enough. Everyone stared at the Civilian Council and Hayashi. Although the latter had no dealings with Ibuki as leader, he would be responsible for those transgressions. Besides, he was now devastated, his plans ruined, and the fury of being used by the elders prevented him from appearing like a broken man. Those bastards were surely far away by now. Hayashi, did the elders escape? Hinata, by now, they should all be imprisoned. Hayashi, I understand. Will I go to prison too? Hinata, yes. I'm sorry. Hayashi, don't apologize. You did well. You'll become a good leader if you push yourself harder. Hinata was surprised by her father's words. Was he proud of what she had done? Her father was certainly a mystery to her now. Hayashi, you did well, and I'm sorry. The civilian clan, along with Hayashi, were arrested by order of the feudal lord. Feudal lord, take them away. I was going to address this matter in depth and hold a new trial when I had the necessary information. Tsunade approached the feudal lord and told him about INO and Naruto. They needed to discuss why he did what he did, to which he agreed, because he wanted to hear his explanation. They arranged a meeting in a few hours. As everyone left the room, the other leaders were guarded by a group of ANBU. Some stayed, like Hinata, who hadn't moved from her position, Kiba, INO, Akamaru, and Tsunade, who sat down in her chair. Tsunade, phew, it's over. I thought it would be the end for me. Kiba, Hinata, you did very well. Congratulations. He approached the girl who had her back to him, moving a little closer to place his hand on her shoulder. The girl noticed and turned around to grab Kiba's cheeks and give him a. Kiba kisses him, Hinata. Hinata, yes, I liked it. I like you too, Kiba-kun. Kiba, Hinata, smiled. The kunoichi kissed Kiba again, this time without worries, without doubts, and without pressure. She felt happy and relieved. This is what freedom should feel like. INO and Tsunade watched the scene happily, while Tsunade grew curious because there was one more person missing. Tsunade, where's Naruto? Naruto was in an abandoned house. He had Sakura lying in his arms as he watched her sleep. He was happy that everything had gone well. He knew this was part of the plan and was sure his friends had succeeded. Sakura woke up slowly, blushing at the situation. Sakura, Naruto, relax, everything's fine. Sakura, you know I did it to be with you. Naruto, that's what they told me, but it was a bit of an exaggeration. Tell me, what happened, Sakura-chan? Sakura, I feel so alone, Naruto, so alone. I have no one left. Naruto watched her cry with deep sorrow. Sakura, I lost INO, Lady Tsunade, you, Sasuke, and finally Sai. He told me I couldn't understand other people's feelings, and the worst part is, he's right. Sometimes I can be very selfish, and sometimes I don't think about how I act. And the worst part is, maybe he was in love with me. Naruto hugged Sakura. The girl let herself be swept away by Naruto's embrace, hugging him tightly and releasing the tension he had been holding. Naruto, Sakura-chan, we all make mistakes. The important thing is to realize them and forgive yourself. You have to let go of all your failures, even the romantic ones, because only then will you be happy. Sakura was surprised by the blonde boy's words. She thought he might resent her or something like that, but what she didn't expect was his warm smile and his affectionate nickname. Sakura, why don't you hate me? Naruto, because I'm suffering, and I know the feeling. I felt it too, so I can understand at least a little. I wanted to leave Konoha, but I changed my mind and stayed. People do foolish things when they suffer too much, when they let their ambition get the better of them. That's why I can't hate you, because I understand you, and I want you to understand that if you need someone, I'll be there. Sakura, Naruto, I'm so sorry. Naruto, don't worry, just don't do it again. Sakura, okay, I promise. Naruto smiled at her promise and hugged her, staying like that for a few moments. Tears streamed down Sakura's cheeks as the blonde boy watched her calmly, waiting for her to compose herself. End of chapter. Final, epilogue. After the events, a few days passed before a new trial was held for those involved. The civil council paid dearly, as did the council of elders. Sakura testified at the trial to reveal the civil council's plans, so being a direct witness was a great surprise to everyone, especially INO, who had her reservations about her. But when she didn't mention anything about her fake marriage and helped Naruto imprison them, INO thought a lot about Sakura's attitude. Sakura wanted to make peace with INO, but the blonde girl hesitated to forgive her. She had truly hurt her at times. Naruto told INO that she was genuinely sorry and promised she wouldn't do it again. A conversation in a cafe led them to discuss what had happened. INO and Sakura were sitting in the cafe, waiting for their order. INO, it's incredible to see you like this, Sakura. I thought you weren't going to the trial. Sakura, I want to make amends, INO. Ever since I spoke with Lady Tsunade, the idea of giving up what I love most has been on my mind. INO, you're talking about Naruto-kun? Sakura, yes, that's right. I didn't understand it at the time, but as the days passed, I realized something. INO, what is it, Sakura? Naruto-kun is a very special boy. I didn't see it then, but now I do. I really want him to be happy. INO, how can I believe you? I really don't know if you're telling the truth. Sakura, I know. He forgave me, even after I treated him badly, after I hurt him by revealing our relationship. He still forgave me, so I feel terrible, and I want to stop hurting him. INO, I understand, I know your feelings for him are strong, but I appreciate you being honest with me. Sakura, you're welcome. I'll really have to prove myself if I want them to believe me, INO. That's true, though it's also my fault, Sakura. Your fault. INO, maybe if I had told you the truth about the fake marriage from the beginning, this wouldn't have happened. Sakura, no, it's not your fault. I actually think it was for the best. I didn't value Naruto, but at least it helped someone else to appreciate him, and I thank you for that, INO. You'll be a good wife to him. INO, you already know that, right? Sakura, yes, Lady Tsunade told me. Their marriage isn't valid in Konoha. INO, and you're not going to do anything? Sakura, I said no. Really, this time, I want to do things right. INO, you're amazing, Sakura. Why are you like this? Sakura smiled a little at INO's comment. Waitress, here you are, 2 coffees and 2 slices of chocolate cake. INO and Sakura, thank you very much. INO and Sakura took their cups and looked at each other once more. INO, time will tell. Sakura, don't worry, you won't regret it. Both girls smiled slightly, chatting about other things as they spent time together. A few weeks had passed before 2 individuals arrived in Konoha. They wandered through the village until they stood before Naruto. Surprise filled his eyes when he saw who it was, Sasuke, who had returned to Konoha, but this time with company. It was Karen, who introduced herself to Naruto and INO as Sasuke's partner. A shout was heard throughout Konoha at the news. INO and Karen agreed to go out together to get to know each other better. While the news of Sasuke's return spread, another topic was being discussed at the Hyuga family home. It was agreed that the new clan leader would be Hinata Hyuga, at least until Hanabi took the position. For Hinata, this was more comfortable, as she didn't believe in being a clan leader, she was more interested in going on missions and traveling to other places to experience new things. She was barely getting used to the fact that she could go out at night without her father scolding her or waiting reluctantly. She had also started a relationship with Kiba, whom she loved very much. He made an effort on their dates, and little by little, Hinata's suffering and pain faded away because of love. Hinata and Kiba were in the courtyard of the Hyuga mansion, looking at the stars. Kiba noticed how Hinata's eyes shone with a new brightness. Kiba, I like that look of yours. Hinata, huh? Kiba, I haven't seen you happy in a long time. Hinata, it's because I really feel good. She took Kiba's hand and smiled at him. Hinata, thank you, Kiba-kun. Kiba, for what? Hinata, for being present in my life. Kiba blushed at that. Kiba, he, it's nothing, you too, I mean, I wanted to. Hinata, and now who's stuttering? Kiba, Hinata, that's not fair. Hinata laughed at Kiba's comment, making Kiba laugh too. Her father received 15 years in prison, although he hadn't done all of that, he was involved, and it didn't help that the civilian clan turned against him, saying he was partly to blame. On the other hand, the civilian council fared even worse, since he was sentenced to life imprisonment, the matter was closed for the feudal lord. Tsunade spoke with the feudal lord about INO and Naruto's sham marriage, and after what had transpired, he understood Tsunade's reason for wanting a fake marriage. The injustices against Naruto were too numerous. Therefore, he arranged for Naruto to receive his entire inheritance, including the Namikaze surname. Everyone gathered to see Naruto being recognized with his father's name. Feudal Lord, and with great pride, I present to you Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, future Hokage. Everyone celebrated, praising the blonde-haired boy not only as a hero but also as a person, making him one of the most beloved in all of Konoha. His friends celebrated the inheritance that had been returned to him and the fact that everyone knew he was a Namikaze. Some friends attended the party, including Sai, who surprised everyone by coming, but Naruto greeted him with a handshake in a gesture of peace. Sai apologized to the blonde-haired couple, and for both Ino and Naruto, the whole thing was now in the past. Finally, Sai and Sakura met at the party and were able to talk privately, which was seen by everyone, who imagined a new couple in Konoha. Shikamaru, so, Ino, Naruto, when are you getting married? Ino, Shikamaru. Choji, calm down, Ino, Shikamaru was just asking. This whole thing seemed strange to us. Sai, they'll probably wait longer. Sakura, Naruto, you won't keep her waiting too long. Kiba, knowing him, maybe. Hinata, maybe so. Naruto, enough already, that's what I was going to do. Temari, is that it? Kakashi, I see something good. Tsunade, come on, Naruto. I'll be the godmother. Grabbing a bottle of sake, Shizun, Lady Tsunade, stop drinking so much. Sasuke, come on, Naruto. Karen, come on, Naruto. Rock Lee and Tenten applauded, followed by everyone else. Naruto knelt down, took out a ring, and said, will you marry me? Ino, yes. Everyone celebrated for the couple, culminating in Ino and Naruto sharing a kiss and a tight hug. Their happiness was incredibly comforting after everything they had been through. It was inevitable that they would feel so good. The smiles on their faces showed how much they enjoyed their accomplishments and the fact that they would finally be together, as a true married couple. They married 2 months later surrounded by their loved ones, their faces beaming with joy at the celebration. Ino thanked Lady Tsunade for her help, who was delighted to see Ino and Naruto so happy. As their hearts overflowed with happiness, they signed the marriage certificate, sealing their love forever. Their time in Konoha had been very pleasant, filled with various adventures, parties, missions, and other activities. They mostly relied on each other, their smiles becoming a common sight throughout the village. Always together, they lived a very happy life, letting time pass by for all the ninjas. 4 years later, Shikamaru, well, Mr. Hokage, excited? Naruto, of course, Shikamaru, I'll leave the clones here for work. I have to go. Shikamaru, hey, say hi to Ino and, he left me hanging, he left. Naruto ran through Konoha, greeting all the villagers. Right now, he just wanted to get home. Nothing could stop him. He smiled at everything he had accomplished in this time. He had become Hokage, he had friends who loved and supported him, he had inherited his fortune, and he had earned the recognition of the people, but above all, he had won Ino's love, and something else that made him smile just thinking about it. He had to hurry to get home. At the Uzumaki mansion, Naruto, I'm back. Ino, hi, love. Naruto, where are you? Ino, on the living room couch. Naruto went to the living room. Naruto, wait, don't move. He went to his room quickly, grabbed his camera, and went back down to the living room. Ino, what are you doing? Naruto, stay still, I'm going to take a picture. Click. Ino, did the photo turn out well? Naruto approached his wife and showed her the photo. Naruto, it turned out better than ever, I love you both.